Obi, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been a hot second. By the last time we cast together, 5 of the heroes that are now in the game just straight up didn't exist. Jetpack Cat was a fever dream in someone's head, but now Jetpack Cat's here and it's real and we're able to see it. And I wonder if we will see it because I remember on release, Jetpack Cat was what's the word I want to use for Jetpack?
A concept, the thoughts and concepts.
Yeah. There were some heavy arguments about and heavy discussions about what Jetpack Cat was, but I think it's fallen off a little bit since then. Everybody's been a little bit acclimated, but again, we're in that collegiate tournament, like you mentioned. March Madness in college basketball. Now here in Overwatch, the madness is going to be great, and I cannot wait to get it going.
Absolutely. Hey guys, while you're watching, you can get drops. So there's a whole reason to being here. Besides just supporting the schools, there are drops. And I'm sure if you were to spam the chat, you would figure out all about it. We've got sprays, we've got icons, we've got nameplates. So you got to add to your collection, right, Kenobi?
Yeah, I mean, that spray is a little bit fake because I don't think Ramatra would be sitting, would just be chilling with Zenyatta and Bastion like that. I think Ramatra would just rip Bastion apart.
Unless that was like a grave. Yeah, like maybe they're just over a grave right now, but Zenyatta is like more of a peaceful guy, so.
Based on what I know about the lore, Ramatra would be clanking the heads together of those two robots, so I think that one. But, it's nice to live a little in a different future, that's why we have those, Overwatch skins that are, the anti-Overwatch skins, where it's, the bad Talon Tracer and, Widowmaker when she was still in Overwatch. But, yeah, make sure that you tell everybody about these great sprays that we have, this great community and collegiate thing that we have, because it's been something that I've been a part of for a very long time, and I'm very excited to get back into it. Very excited that we still have it, and we can see these schools and these teams and these players play against each other.
And this is a giant playoff bracket, y'all. There is a ton of teams involved, but we could only pick one match to go at a time. So, of course, we had to pick the very best one, starting with Arcadia versus Georgia Tech. And let's jump right into our rosters, because our players are almost ready to go, guys. This is not going to be Yapper Watch, I guess. We've got Arcadia, though, on the screen. You may know these guys from just all the time they've spent in the Face It League, whether it's in the Advanced Division or in the Expert Division. Big shout out to Aruta, who just qualified actually into the Face It Expert League by getting a top performance in the Advanced League. So he's going to be the player to watch for me in terms of the flex DPS he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah, especially with DPS being so important, Vendetta kind of still being a little bit problematic. The last time we cast together, Gen Vendetta, very strong, still has not been hit by the nerf hammer, I think, as a lot of people might have wanted her to, but still will be kicking around. And one of the things I really love about Collegiate in the aspect, as we can look at our next roster, is that there are some of these players that you and I and the rest of the audience get to learn about. They're on broadcast for the first time, as we can look at this Georgia Tech team, All-Star Sir Technical, Skill Switch Hayden, and Sklee, who do not avert your eyes. That is a Hammond player on support. So we will see if that is actually happening. Anything could happen once we get into that lobby. Sklee, someone that you and I are familiar with, Jen, in the tier 2. Very, very prominent Hammond player. I think we were talking about it before. Got rank 1 on Hammond, I believe.
Yeah, he's crazy. And I don't even want to say he's an OTP. I just want to call him a master of the Hammond. And he's a self-proclaimed peak #1 ranked Hammond player. Been around a long time, since 2019. But what happens if Hammond gets banned out? Well, maybe that's why they've slotted him on support. So if Hammond gets banned, Sklee, you're relegated to support. And Kill Switch, you would think that's more of like a DPS name, but he's on tank, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. It's the true mind games of the pick ban now. Is that if our Hammond player is getting banned out, just put him on support. It's totally fine. Totally will end up working. But that is the Georgia Tech team that we have here. And interesting about both these teams is we can actually look at the map pool here going forward. One of the things that is really actually not even the map. We're just going into map picks. We're just rolling right through it. Bans already set up. D.Va taken out. Tracer taken out. Makes a lot of sense. D.Va still very prominent in terms of that tank role, very aggressive. Tracer getting taken out as well. I think one of the things that Tracer does so well, and also D.Va, is that you can get onto those backline members. Sojourn is very important right now. Emrys seems to be very important as well, one of our other new heroes that we have. So I think that getting rid of some of these very divey parts of those compositions means that we're going to be seeing a little bit more of that's just kind of like that World War I trenches warfare. We're going to be hitting each other from across the way, and that's really where we're going to be duking it out.
And it's important to know that you can only ban a hero once in a series. This is a best of 3, so maybe not a whole lot of Overwatch here. But you want to say maybe that Hammond ban for 1, is Sklee actually in the lobby? And then 2, like when do you want to use that Hammond ban, which I would absolutely think would be on a map, on a game type like Control, especially even Ilios, because it's very strong there. So Sklee is either not playing or they don't care about ball. And
or is on support. That is the secret.
Or he's actually on support. Oh God, pray for us.
He's actually on support. So that is the hidden third door that we have in this Price is Right game show. But I think that this is interesting to start things off with both these teams, because between them I believe they only have 1 combined win against the top 20 team. The rest are losses. So they both came in around that like top 15 in terms of the seeding coming into this tournament. And we also have to remember, Jen, this is single elimination up until top 8, so it's do or die in these first 3, or in these best of 3s that we're going to have starting off this broadcast. It is ride or die for both these teams, and getting that first win is such a monumental step, especially in a first 2.
And you can actually see which teams banned what. So really interesting that Georgia is the one that banned the D.Va. As I would say, D.Va, one of the best tanks when it comes to chasing down a Hammond, and to be overall a nuisance, especially a good Tracer counter. So then Arcadia responds with the Tracer ban as well, which is just going to be one of the best DPS to play on Ilios, and you're really targeting the other teams. Although I'm sure there are so many teams to study when you're in a collegiate league like this.
Yeah, I think a lot of it kind of will come down to it. Sklee is not actually going to be on the support. It is going to be that Hammond coming up. So, I mean, this was actually I believe Georgia Tech was the one who banned first. So really smart from them actually to ban the D.Va, because that means that they can't be a tank ban on the other side for Arcadia. So that frees up that ability to keep Hammond up and going. Maybe Sklee can play it. It's Ilios, one of the best Hammond maps that is in the game. So I think this is a really good decision. And with the rest of what we're seeing between the DPS, we're seeing those longer range style of DPS, except there is going to be some Symmetras, but those will eventually change out to some more mobile things.
Oh God, we got some Jetpack Cat openings with Georgia Tech already going for that high ground, trying to set up All-Star. And I like that this Jetpack Cat can maybe try to escort people into safety, you would think, especially with Pip on the Vendetta. So Arcadia got a lot of frontline presence and power. Look at all the space they're already owning. Arcadia now has to focus on actually capping the point. Sklee is back in action though at around half health, and Georgia Tech are able to keep themselves up and away. But Arcadia did get the cap while Georgia Tech were taking a break to heal. So the longer this fight goes, the more Arcadia are going to benefit.
Yeah, and Arcadia did a really good job of being able to stop and make sure that there weren't those dives that were converted into kills from Georgia Tech, as actually Sklee is going into the backline and gets absolutely obliterated. So Arcadia playing really well against this Hammond, which was one of the things, Jen, we talked about as being one of those very important parts of this match entirely. Is Sklee going to be able to pop up on the Hammond? As, ooh, that's a lot of damage already done. Aruda, 50% ahead in terms of that ultimate charge right now from this Freya.
Absolutely, getting so much experience from that Face It League, showing us just all the different hit scans that he's going to be able to put on display, and is going to have that first ultimate. Sklee is already putting some disruptions, already forcing a reposition out of Aruda, though, is going to need some support. It's Georgia Tech wanting to really back up Sklee, who falls back. Now Arcadia already halfway to a win, and Georgia Tech, I don't think I've really solidified a pick quite yet, but the Hammond Mines do come in to at least try and secure some spacing, but this just does not seem very comfortable for Georgia Tech. Aruda's gonna unleash, and Pip is gonna get on top of these targets. Arcadia feel like they've really taken over the map.
Yeah, and the thing with this composition from Georgia Tech is it's relatively slow. Like, if you don't get that first initial burst down and aren't able to secure picks, you have to reset, get all of your cooldowns back, and then you have to re-engage. And by that time, we've had only 2 fights here, and Arcadia have 80%. They're in last fight territory. Yes, you have some ultimates coming in from Georgia Tech. You can use that Jetpack Cat ult to just basically win a team fight by Fiat, but it's not looking great for Georgia Tech.
Olay just laying down the groundwork on the hazard. So close to killing that Lucio, though. You need a rapid in this fight for the Sound Beer coming up, but the Kitsune Rush is going to add all the resources Arcadia needs to take back over as the Jetpack Cat tries to kidnap Pua to get slashed and burned by, well, the Lucio and the Venture that did all the work, honestly. It's about to be 100-0. I don't even think Arcadia Esports are breaking a sweat.
Yeah, I did. They are very chill maxing right now, Arcadia Esports. Like, that was a lot of, but to their credit, I mean, they played around the Hammond, because one of the things that Hammond does so well is that disruption and makes you kind of use a lot of your mental RAM, wondering where the Hammond's going to be coming from, where the DPS are going to be coming from. The Jetpack Cat also another wrinkle into that, but Arcadia Esports played so well around it, and Georgia Tech, they're going to have to make some changes, I think, if they want to figure out a way to secure these picks, because Sklee had some decent engagements, but the DPS follow-up just wasn't there for Georgia Tech, and they're going to need to fix that, or else Arcadia is going to take a very convincing 2-0, I think.
Definitely felt like a calm difference. Like, that Hazard can just seal up areas beautifully and maybe deny some exits out of Sklee, forcing some kind of hesitation. And Arcadia just had that really good front to back comp. I don't, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I would absolutely not be changing a 100-0 composition. So Arcadia bringing exactly what we expected on the menu, while Georgia Tech, the Sombra, that big counter the Hammond.
Yeah, Sombra's going to be nice to be able to, you know, follow the Hammond and do a little bit more of that damage, but they do have to be worried about Aruda, who's kind of just left to their own devices up here in the sky. Finally, the engage comes in, and the Jetpack Cat's able to secure one.
Now it's the Jetpack Cat fragging. Now that's what I'm going to be worried about. But hey, how about keeping on top of this ledge the Hazard with full denial? And Sir Technical may have been brought back somehow, but Georgia Tech have the Cat doing all the fragging, and that is not good. Arcadia are the ones actually winning the fight, and remember what happened when they took the point first last time? They turned it into 100-0, so Georgia Tech need to show us some signs of life.
Yeah, and I mean, that was really good zoning from Holiday, who was basically taking away Hayden and the Jetpack Cat completely from that fight, and Pip was able to go into the backline with the Vendetta, get up a couple of picks, and it's starting to really, the momentum is so far in favor of Arcadia. I don't really think we've seen Georgia Tech win a single team fight.
Oh, gotta get a punish on Pip, but no, great positioning around the Mega Pack, knowing how to fall back, let Holiday take over, gets both climbs back up, but that is a window for Georgia Tech to engage, and Sklee will lead that charge. A great pile drive, but Arcadia, they kind of back away, but Holiday just did not get enough support from saving Joe, so no saving Holiday, but Georgia Tech can maybe save the fight. They will advance towards the objective, but they lack tank presence as well. They do manage to get the flip, but I really don't know how long that's going to last for Georgia Tech, as you see Arcadia advancing on the other side, and there's also Pip doing a bit of a flank, so he's going to get back on the point with Arcadia.
Yeah, you now only had also just the Kiriko heals, and that's not enough, especially with the Jetpack Cat going down. And look at Arcadia. I mean, the fight looks kind of lost for them, but in terms of what they have coming up in their ultimate economy, they're looking really primed to take this victory.
Especially with a Kitsune Rush, the Hazard Ultimate, and Holiday taking over, and it's a hunt, especially when Aruda's on the field, and Georgia Tech don't want to get staggered. This is getting dangerous territory. Oh, we're all thinking get spot, Aruda, this disrespectful. And Georgia Tech have nothing to say about this except Sklee, who needs to quickly go to the point. 30% left before Arcadia go to match point.
Luckily, though, Georgia Tech have all of the ultimates to work with this in the next fight, and they need it because it is going to be last fight territory here for them.
All right, Sklee has a bit of time to brawl, but has to choose these mines carefully, ideally towards the point, so Georgia Tech can take the fight there, because it will be overtime soon. And All-Star with the overclock, punishing Aruda, that greediness, that forward position, and now All-Star is fragging like crazy. A triple kill, almost a fourth. But Georgia Tech now have to make the ultimate comeback, 0 to 100, to stay in this game.
All-Star making Smash Mouth proud there, and luckily if you're Georgia Tech, the biggest thing about this one is that you only use 2 ultimates, right? And you're going to need to cycle ultimates incredibly effectively, but you have to be worried about Pip with this ult. EMP comes through and it's big.
Oh, that's huge, and Pip also screwed over by his own Hazard's wall, but EMP, only 1 kill. Is this where you'd want to maybe play off the aggression here of have Sklee pile driver in and have Sir Technical follow up, but as soon as that Sombra translocates out, you lose a lot of that pressure, so Arcadia happy to sit this one out and poise towards a Kitsune Rush, and they have it now within the point as well. The Jetpack Cat is trying to disrupt as much as they can, but it's Arcadia that have lost the tip of their spear. The Sword of Pip has fallen. The Sound Bearer is going to be the last hurrah of Arcadia for this fight, and Georgia Tech have run out of ultimates. All eyes are on how the teamwork is what's pulling through for Georgia Tech without these ultimates, and they'll clean up Arcadia just like that.
Yeah, they're able to keep it even keel, and now where all the momentum was on Arcadia, finally, once Georgia Tech start to have some ability to hold this ground, hold that spacing, they're much more effective now with these dives. Pip trying to dive in, but will be gone. And actually, Sir Technical gets taken out. That's a huge pick. So much damage is lost now for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's really tough, especially when you couldn't translocate out, and that's the moment that Arcadia are going to engage, but the mines from behind will trap you into the fight, whether you like it or not, and Sklee will disrupt, maybe try to go for the Mega Pack. It's stolen by the Jetpack Cat, so Sklee is just trying to live for as long as they can to keep control of the point, because Georgia Tech needed a second to breathe, and Arcadia are putting them 6 feet under. And they're going for the flip. This is dangerous territory. This is the best of 3. Georgia Tech need to show up or show themselves out. And Arcadia don't even need the ults. They just need to deny any presence from Georgia Tech, who have no DPS left. Sklee is the only one who could run in and out, along with maybe the Jetpack Cat, who can't take anyone else with them. Arcadia will stand tall in map number 1.
Arcadia looked really good for that first round, and then they kind of had a little bit of a moment where it looked like they were going to 200-0 this map, but eventually Georgia Tech clawed their way back in, no pun intended, with the Jetpack Cat in their team. But I think one of the things that Arcadia did in that last fight before, where they got Sir Technical really early, that first pick, the ability from them to take that advantage and just run with it to completely end the map. They know that all the damage was gone from the Sombra, so they just get onto All-Star. That's another DPS gone. There's no way for Sklee to come back in and pick that up, and that's just Hammond and supports. It takes a miracle almost to win team fights like that, especially when you're down 3-5.
Yeah, Arcadia just have the strong comp right now of kind of running what's meta, what at least everybody knows, and sticking to their guns around the Venture, around the Freya, and playing off the really obvious win conditions of a Kitsune Rush, off of Holiday, who's been a fantastic tank in terms of really balancing the risk and profitability, I guess, of what Hazard can provide in terms of such a sturdy frontline tank, I guess. And Arcadia just knew that they have so much burst potential with the Venture, with the Freya, and with Holiday being so hard to take down, there's so much good space for Arcadia to play behind. And I think Georgia Tech, the dive was really hard to assemble, and the timing, the execution is very difficult around a Sombra that can dive in, translocate out, and whatnot. So, and then we get to see our first looks at the Jetpack Cat, which honestly had a better showing on Ruins and kind of became a third DPS, not gonna lie.
Yeah, the ultimates weren't the best. I think we saw a little bit of it. Like, do we call them cat jaxes if they miss, or like I don't know if we have nomenclature for that one yet. But I think one of the things that is interesting when we look at the future of this is like, yeah, you're down 0-1 right now if you're Georgia Tech. That's really bad because we are in that best of 3. But you also lost your Hammond map, and you've lost the Hammond ban, and now you've lost Ilios as well, which is one of Hammond's best maps. Like, now you're really behind the 8 ball when it comes to that pick ban phase, and also what you're going to be going into that next map, because yeah, you're going to be able to pick a map that potentially is really good for Hammond, but then Arcadia's like, okay, cool, Hammond's gone. We can just take that ban, and we can just take ourselves to a victory if we want. So really, the onus is going to be on Georgia Tech with their life on the line to figure out something different.
Hey, well, we went to school with Kenobi, so we could pretend to be like collegiate coaches for a second and ponder the orb of what map Georgia Tech want to go to if they like Hammond maps. If I'm looking, like, any push map seems solid for a Hammond. Flashpoint is always very open. Like, where would you go?
I think you could play, like, verticality is important, especially when you're using Hammond, so I think that you have the ability to go to something like I think New Junk City's a little bit too enclosed, but like Atlas, I feel like would be very good for Hammond as something if we are going to be going to that Flashpoint era. Coliseo is one of our other maps for push. Not my favorite. Esperanza kind of has that one, like, little area at the start where you can really get value out of Hammond, so I would probably be looking towards maybe a little bit of hybrid, maybe a little bit of Escort. Flashpoint, I think you had a good point about that, where it's like, if we do have Atlas in the map pool, I think that's definitely something I would like to see a Hammond on. Yeah,
because you're like, oh, well, they lost their Hammond map, game type of control. Well, how about Flashpoint, where it's control, but there's more of it? So I would easily go to Flashpoint. But, with teams like this, it's not always about having this, like, foolproof, like, min-max strategy. And it's like, which map do you guys like? Okay, let's go to that one. Yeah. Like, vibes-based strategy making.
I'm feeling this map, and then you're like, okay, cool. We send it. Like, we're totally fine with that one.
So yeah, the ball is in Georgia Tech's court on where they want to bring us to next. But this is a best of 3 and single elim playoff, right, Kenobi? So it's high stakes.
Also, I just want to shout out your little, the ball is in their court, and we've been talking about Hammond. Okay, I see you. I see you.
Get up.
What did you just do?
I tried to do a LeBron, but I'm 5 foot, so that's the only chance I get.
That's fine. That's fine. They were short. I think the shortest NBA player was 4'11", No, I don't know
Really?
how
I thought
tall
it was the
Mug-
5'8" guy.
It might have been. I don't know how tall Muggsy Bogues was. Muggsy Bogues was, I think, the shortest NBA player to ever play. Someone in chat will correct me.
I have a
but,
chance.
yeah.
I have a chance.
You do.
If not, I can play ball in Overwatch.
Yeah,
So-
I want to see you post up against Wemby and then see what happens.
You see these moves? Okay, like, don't mess with me, guys. All right, because I will show you more of it the more that we have to delay. Map 2 has been chosen, though, so I'm gonna let Prod do us a drum roll. Okay, we are going to Havana Unana, and that is chosen by Georgia Tech. So I like me some ball on this map. Maybe a little bit harder on point 2, though.
Yeah, I think that's where I'd be really worried. Because like point 3 and point 1, you can like definitely have that Hammond. That is not blank, by the way. There is a ban. It is Domina. We just unfortunately don't have the graphic. But Domina, another one of those new heroes that came out. Probably one of my. I loved playing Domina the first time. I think that she came out, and I was like really. I like tanks like Sigma like that, where it's like you're kind of like very stalwart and like. I mean, now especially with that, with the role passives that we have, I really think that Domina is in a good spot. So I think that that's a decent ban, especially on a map like this, where you just want kind of sometimes just hide behind that shield and just shoot. Especially on first point, on defense, that's a very good ban, I think, to take away.
She ruins my life as a tank player because I like to play Orisa as Sigma.
Ruin mine.
I would let her as well, but when my rank is on the line, I don't approve. Okay.
For me, the rank is like not even secondary; it's tertiary to letting Domina ruin my life. It's a wrap, okay?
It's a wrap.
It's a
well,
wrap.
Georgia wrapped her up in a bow and put her elsewhere for this map, and this could be our last map. If Arcadia keep pulling off this, like, 100-0 type of prowess, they were super strong on Ilios, but hey, this is Georgia Tech's playground, so let's see what they're cooking up.
Ooh, and so we did see kind of in the first graphic that we had when we saw both of the tanks from Arcadia, we did see Killswitch as one of those players who was hovering Sigma. So now Sklee's not even going to be part of the picture in this next map because there is going to be no Hammond. It is going to be Killswitch. And I think that this is definitely something that on a map like this, you want to have probably that Sigma to play around if that is what Georgia Tech's going to end up rolling out with on first. I wouldn't expect a Roadhog to actually be a hero that is a thing anymore, unfortunately. Rest in peace. Maybe just for like a single like little cheeky, hook off the start and, then go back to Sigma.
Dude, sometimes I just be emoting and spawn, so
yeah.
I don't even know if you could reach a lot of people on the other side.
Never seen this Widowmaker skin. What?
This is cool. Vibes-based Widow pick, though? Are we playing for vibes? Let us find out. Georgia Tech with the double sniper.
Is this actually real? Are we going back to the ways of old with the double sniper? This is a really good shield, though, by the way, to start things off from Holiday, completely negating a lot of the value with that Widowmaker getting that first initial shot and keeping Arcadia up. Standing with their long-range hit scans, they are going to have to be worried because, and you can see how Pip is playing around the geometry a little bit, but Holiday gets obliterated, so now there's no Sigma, and this should be all guns blazing for Georgia Tech to go forward.
It's like double sniper versus double sniper-ish. Like, Pip showed us the venture last game. He's gonna have to take a seat and kind of really react to when the Sigma shield is gonna break. And Holiday already returning to spawn to swap to a D.Va. Wants to be able to actually pressure back against these snipers, but the issue is that the Sigma is gonna be able to hit a free accretion. He's gonna have a shield in your face, and the D.Va doesn't want to play into that Sigma. The D.Va wants to find a way around it, but Georgia Tech, it don't need to find a way around. They gotta find a way forward. And they're already pretty much about to cap off of, what, 1 or 2 picks? Like, Arcadia are sitting ducks right now, and they're in command of the series. They gotta do something, and it's to make sure at least Holiday is anchoring the card as best as they can, but they're diving the backline now and getting some targets low enough for Pip to hit a double kill. And that is enough to stifle this push.
Yeah, Pip is able to find a lot there, and unfortunately, one of the things that's happening right now is All-Star hasn't really been able to find the value with the Widowmaker. We saw that we were on the Widowmaker POV for that entire time, wasn't able to secure any of those picks, and you really need those one-shots to come through if you are going to be picking Widowmaker, and there it is, Caster Curse. That's exactly what All-Star was looking for.
Like a Caster Blessing. Okay, how about an Amp Matrix plus a Sniper? I don't even think Hayden's using it. I think it was like a fear tactic. And also the card's being pushed. Arcadia have to get on it. And Pip used an ultimate to just put fear into the eyes of Georgia Tech, and it's been captured in front of them. Because Holiday is balancing between diving backlines and also anchoring the card. Holiday can't do it all. And Georgia Tech, well, they did the most. They capped point A.
And I mean, All-Star must have heard me because I said that All-Star hadn't been hitting shots, and there hits 2 that completely turned that fight around. Now we're going into a more enclosed area, so it's even going to be harder for that Widowmaker to make work. But if you can find those one-shots like I was talking about, that's really how you break open these compositions.
All right. Oh, you kind of wanted Rapid in this fight. They had the ultimate, and it's always nice to throw a big old bomb on D.Va, who doesn't need any more bombs, if I'm honest, but Holiday needs some healing. Already got the armor cracked, and All-Star cracks the head through of a Ruda. And that Georgia Tech have a lot of picks going for them, and staggered picks at that, so Arcadia are having a lot of issues having a full 5-person fight.
Yeah, this D.Va's not even going to get back in mech, it looks like, by the time the the Baptiste goes down, now the D.Va goes down. That's just a singular fight win to take second. They're going to have a humongous time bank going into third here, and this is where Widowmaker is again going to be extremely important, and Erudo is actually going to take over the duel now because they need someone to be able to match up against that long-range sniper, and Erudo's going to take the challenge.
I think Venture would have been, or Vendetta, sorry, would have been even better on the previous point there, but Georgia Tech now are just gonna, well, have to face the bomb of justice here from Rapid, putting it on top of their Vendetta. And now Arcadia are finding themselves floundering and having to go back to the defenses of their castle. And this time bank is pretty huge.
Yeah, that was also a Vendetta dying through Wu Yang ult. So that was a lot of incoming damage that just got spammed right into that Vendetta. Didn't manage to find anything, and Arcadia have been it feels like they've been playing a little bit of Mystery Heroes where they're trying to gather a footing with some of their hero picks, but they just haven't been able to do so because this Widowmaker has really started to perform.
Okay, time to face the music, face the sunrise, and at least some of the supports here are taking a lot of damage. Someone help this Wu Yang, saving Joe, puts the immortality down. This backline is under fire, and Arcadia respond in the biggest of way, and Ant Matrix to enable Pip, and it's countered right back from Hayden, who doesn't have a second support. So Georgia Tech thought they had a chance, and lacking in those heals, especially, Janetta Sect, is that their name? Needs to get back quickly and does so on the Lucio.
I think that was pretty good. I mean, and then DB at the
I
end.
tried.
But I think that now, as you've stopped the bleeding a little bit from Arcadia's or from Georgia Tech's perspective, you can now, get back in. You have 3.5 minutes to defend. It is still a hefty time bank but Holiday's actually going to be going over to the Sigma now just to try and still have that ability to match up with shields. Sights come through. If you peek this on the other side, might want to see your PayPal at the end of this one.
Like, the Lucio's nice to have that sound barrier against the gravitic flux, but what else are you speeding? A dragon with the flux doesn't connect onto Holiday, but it's enough to cut off all the resources Arcadia were trying to funnel into their anchor, and Georgia Tech are about to lock in a near, 2.5 minute time bank? This map is so difficult to complete as it is, and Georgia Tech are making this look like a cakewalk. Okay, the shots are lined up, All-Star, it's hunting season. For one last time, Arcadia are contesting, and every second matters. Holiday doing his Sklee impression on the payload, and Georgia Tech are doing quite fine.
Yeah, and I mean, they're just going to be able to get these picks. I feel bad a little bit for our observers because every time that All-Star has popped up, it hasn't been on POV. Maybe there's a little bit of stage fright going on with this Widowmaker play, but
yeah,
there's no harm, no foul. I mean, you're still going to get the W. You're still going to get the complete, it looks like, as soon as these picks are down. I mean, to be fair, whittling that down from 3 minutes to 2 minutes, that's a pretty nice stall, but in regards to the grander scheme, like you were talking about, this map is already hard to cap just by itself in all three levels. Getting it with 2 minutes, that's even worse. If I'm playing a ranked game like this and I'm I have to lock in, I have to sit up in my chair to even have a chance to get another round.
It was such a slow scaling offense, but they never really lost a fight. Georgia Tech just kind of sailed away to the grand line, if you will, and got the cap A pretty fast. And point B, they managed to stagger Arcadia pretty well, starting with a pick on Rapid, who's on Wu Yang at the time, got a DMAC onto Holiday. They kind of forced Arcadia onto all these different picks, and Georgia Tech got to just rely on their Sigma being this powerful anchor on the front lines, providing a shield to their snipers who got to kind of play any different angles they wanted and fight over the kill feed. So I'm liking the comeback that Georgia Tech brought us.
And I think it feels like Arcadia maybe just a little bit uncomfortable in the Widowmaker matchup because we're seeing them still not opting in for it. So now, and realistically, the thing that beats a really good Widowmaker is also just another really good Widowmaker. Yeah, you can have some moments where you can like bring some of those dive potential picks into it, where it looks like Arcadia potentially might bring out D.Va, also bring out the Emre, as I call him, Ottoman Chief. I think that this is definitely the way to go, because I don't think you ever want to match up into a Sigma duel here. You just want to be able to just get onto that Widowmaker as fast as you can, even if it takes a little bit of time, because you're never just going to win in just a poke mirror.
Like the kill switch is being aggressive here. You want to try and mark where those snipers could be. But on the other side, it's All-Star, the one that's very, very hidden and can kind of play off the calls of kill switch, while Sir Technical can ruin any shields that would be on the other side, and namely try to draw out as much defense matrix from this D.Va as possible. It's interesting you pair that with an Ana, because until that Sigma shield breaks, you can't get any biotic grenade value, but kill switch, I mean, he's activating just that. There is nobody that can go past this guy.
And I'm really loving what they're doing with the Hanzo as well. You can see every time that they're looking in this side room, the Hanzo, Sir Technical is always using Recon Arrow just to get that sight line picked out for All-Star, who then gets to have the value of those sights, of those picks, and they're working. I mean, this is almost flawless execution of what a double sniper comp should be looking like.
Arcadia already losing on so much time, and All-Star ain't missing those shots. I'd love to see it actually
now we
witnessed.
saw it. We saw
now
it.
we saw it this time. So, all right, we're getting warmed up here for Georgia Tech, and they could be forcing map 3. At the rate that we're going at, Arcadia are already at a time disadvantage.
Yeah, and also you got Gravitic Flux coming up. There's no support ultimates to really deal with it. Widowmaker, All-Star looking for potentially a shot here.
Oh my god!
I just was not aware completely. That's a fight loss, and you know what? There's times in this when, like, in a ranked game where I'm just like, okay, I'll just go next. Like, it's like, and that's what it feels a little bit right now. Credit to Arcadia for being able to change their composition, make some different things happen. With a Nano, potentially there's a way to get you back into this one, but man, Georgia Tech have masterfully maneuvered around with this particular double sniper comp.
Yeah, as a D.Va enjoyer, D.Va just can't be played on this map. Like, you have to go all the way to where the cart is to have enough flight to actually get to the window, and Winston is just stronger because at least you could have some staying power of putting a shield down and forcing actually a reposition, because everyone is going to see a D.Va come in and wait for the Matrix to go down and then blast her. So absolutely loving this swap here from Holiday. This is a Sigma map. Unfortunately, fortunately, depending on what your OTPs are, but is this too late? We have less than 90 seconds out for Arcadia, paired well though with Pip, and a good boop, but not enough support. Saving Joe. Need to see this Nano come out. Couldn't hit the sleep against the Gravitic Flux, but saving grace from Holiday. No, just not able to stabilize themselves. But this next fight is do or nothing, or kill. All or nothing. That's the word I'm looking for.
No, it is do or die, all or nothing. All of the the type things that we say when it is the death at the very end here. And Arcadia, I mean, again, I want to credit them for like thinking about it and changing some things up. Bring in a Genji to potentially get yourself a Nano value. But right now, I mean, look at how much they have to commit just to try and get to that Widowmaker. It's so difficult when they don't have the mobility to work with. And if you're Georgia Tech, you still have those ultimates to work with. The Dragon Strike comes through. Can it find anything? It gets a lot of zoning out. And here comes the Nano finally on the pit.
No blade, just vibes, immortality, force, and that means Pip has to rely on the team to destroy that, but the Matrix from Hayden is forcing Arcadia back. They will just walk forward off the sound barrier, and Arcadia are doing everything they can because it's their last fight. It's 15 seconds left, and they've lost their biggest damage provider of Pip. Rudo can maybe get one last ult going, and the picks are going Arcadia's way. You gotta chase down this Widow. Staggering Georgia Tech would be huge here because they will be able to recontest, at least if they're close enough. Around the corner, Holiday is gonna get a peep. Georgia Tech are waiting for kill switch to walk forward. This Widow is getting chunked down. just good ult charge for Holiday. Here's the last second contest though from Kill Switch. He's got a healthy shield, but his backline's in trouble. The immortality is out, and so is Iruta saving the day. But is it enough? No tank, no DPS, and no point cap? We're going to map 3.
We're already starting off with map 3, the distance in our first series here. This was, if you had taken the nameplates off of this particular map, I would have been like, oh yeah, Arcadia was the Widowmaker, but not even close. Like, the Georgia Tech played this double sniper to such an incredible... This tells me that they definitely had some prep on this team, because this was a map where it's like, okay, we can win the Widowmaker 1v1. It wasn't even a Widowmaker 1v1 realistically. Arcadia just didn't seem to have a grip on the double sniper look, and the way that it was played, it felt like it was a team where Georgia Tech, like you said, in map 1, competitive. Like, this was a team that knew every single in and out of that map, of how to play the double sniper against a team that was just really wallowing, it felt like.
And I think it's a big clash of those tank styles, with Kill Switch being extremely comfortable on these more anchor type of tanks, whether it's a Sigma, whether it's a Hazard, and Arcadia, well, they kind of flip-flop between different ones, and D.Va wasn't, I think, the answer. I think as a D.Va player, Sigma is just the biggest ban. It's the biggest counter, because you don't have the best shield break as a D.Va. And at least that shouldn't be your focus anyway. And trying to get around this Sigma was near impossible. And that's just a fantastic job from Kill Switch. And even so on all the DPS, who either chunked down the D.Va as she came in, or picked off the supports behind the D.Va. So Georgia Tech just seemed uncounterable. And I think the best shot that Arcadia would have had is to actually mirror.
Yeah, and you saw they brought out a little bit of that Widowmaker, and it just, like, it wasn't happening. As good as Aruta was, it just felt like All-Star had such an advantage in that matchup that there was really no coming back from it in that regard. So I think that, I mean, again, credit, I talked about it during the map, I mean, credit to the fact that Arcadia was still thinking about, of like, what can we do? Brought out the raw nano. I mean, if what they thought about, and they're like, let's nano Genji without any Dragon Blade, and let's see if that works.
Yeah.
It almost did. I mean, there were a couple of meters away from getting it at the very end, but now map 3 is going to be interesting, because, like, do we see Sklee back, and you bring in that Hammond? I mean, with the way Kill Switch played, I don't know if I want to see the Hammond again. Kill Switch was, like you talked about, such an important anchor to this team. The DPS really benefited from a lot of that space. The ban and pick phase, especially for a map, is going to be very, very interesting, and with, I mean, everything to play for both these teams, because it is that single elimination. There's a lot of stress.
And Arcadia, I mean, now it's up to them on where they want to end this series, where they want to end potentially their playoff run, because this is a single elimination, and at least you have the advantage, once you lose, to go to whatever map that you want. So it's gonna be tough. I'm just excited we got a map 3, and the fact that it was from a 200, nearly a 200 to 0, to then a full hold as a response. Like, man, we really picked a banger of a first match. It was
a stomp to a stomp, and then hopefully this last one won't be a stomp. It'll be a little bit more competitive, because I'd like to see, like, a map 3 just, like, all-out duking brawl that we'd see from them. So I think that, you know, as well, when we talk about the tank matchup, because the tank matchup has been really important, like you were talking about the D.Va, it just, like, felt like it wasn't really that good. If you bring Sklee back in, I think you are opening yourself to just having a Hammond band, and that could be potentially something that's a little bit tricky to work with. So I think if we go to our next map, if I'm Arcadia, or, well, if I'm Georgia Tech, if I'm thinking about that last map, I'm just not thinking about it at all. That's one of those ones where you're just like, we're not even going to VOD review, that you toss it out completely and you just, like, reset. It's just the best of one right now. Where do you go? Flashpoint's an option. I think that we still have Escort as well. I think that there are a lot of places. I think you don't want to probably go to a map that's just like I wouldn't want to take them to a Blizzard World, for instance, because the fact that you kind of just, that's like a very good Sigma map. Unless you're opting in to ban the Sigma, but then you just have Domino, who's available, who is another Sigma in her own right, kind of that same anchor style of tank. So
it's like a better Sigma right now.
Yeah, I think she does. I mean, I think that she probably is a better Sigma. I think she just offers a little bit more versatility, unless it's like just a Sigma mirror, which is, you know, we've been playing Sigma mirrors since, like, the dawn of time, since that character released. It's on a lot
of the maps, and she has more shield equals better, you know, and
that's true.
She also is a Domi.
That's true.
So
you don't need to say anything else. I mean,
We're on the same wavelength, and our brain cells will combine here for map 3, chosen by Arcadia for Atlas, and they do prefer a lot of this diva short-range styles, so that's not going to be banned. If anything, they're going to get rid of the Zarya, which would be a good counter to the diva. So I could easily see like a return of Arcadia's composition on Ilios with the Vendetta, the diva, the Freya maybe.
Interestingly, the Cassidy is going to be the thing that's taken away here, because I mean the Tracer was taken away earlier, and in a map like this where the flanks are really valuable, I think getting Tracer would have been the ban I was thinking, but it's actually Arcadia who takes away the Cassidy at the start of it. Georgia Tech's going to take away the Zarya, so I think you're kind of right. We're probably going to be moving more towards that diva. Domina now is open to be played, and I think she's totally viable on a map like this. I'm interested to see if Sklee is in. That's like the real thing I'm kind of looking for once we get into lobby, because is Sklee back? Because we talked about it before, after the first game, this was a map that we could potentially bring out that Hammond.
I don't even mind a Sigma here. Just depends on how many rats are going to be around. You know what I mean? Like if there's going to be tracers and all kinds of flankers, like Sigma does not do well against flankers, but can still provide a stable point and a lethal threat. And you saw Kill Switch do just that, especially if you can defend the point with a Sigma, that's going to be even better. But looking for what All-Star and Sir Technical are going to want to opt towards, and Amalga would be interesting here.
That would not be something I would be expecting. But I mean, you do have some of these points that are really enclosed on Atlas, and I think I'm not expecting this comp from Georgia Tech. It would be hilarious if they brought this out like this.
Okay, hear me out though. Yeah, as a diva player, like Malga sucks because you can only matrix so many bullets. Well, we're gonna go to something. You know what you can't matrix? A big old rock. Okay, so let's have Kill Switch do what he does best, and that was a very stable point for Georgia Tech to fall behind. But I'm so excited to see Pip back on the Vendetta. Was ruthless back on Ilios. So you can already see they're trying to close the gap, and they got the Lucio to do it, but okay, my caster curse actually, and wait, the right clicks, these icicles from Sir Technical are really nasty. It's gonna be so annoying for a diva to try and dive a Mei-based composition.
Yeah, and especially with how enclosed this first point is, when you're diving in as the diva, wall just kind of neuters anything you want to do, because you want to try and get in, get out, but you're not going to be able to escape at all, and it makes Vendetta's life even more miserable, because when Vendetta dives in, there's an accretion waiting for you right there from Kill Switch, and you get instantly blown up. So Georgia Tech already looking pretty good with this defense.
And so much attention goes into Pip, like cracking the armor, chasing them down, the Matrix from Holiday trying to support, and it's a Ruda that's farming all the damage. They're the closest person to an ultimate. If anything, almost doubling what the rest of Arcadia are doing in terms of impact. But you know what's impactful? Kills. And Arcadia don't really have that, and Georgia Tech are the ones with the points. So defending this also with a Mei, super strong.
But they're doing such a good job of checking Pip. I mean, we saw Pip's POV there, and just everyone is swarming towards this Vendetta to try and take him out, and you have to be worried about so many different cooldowns as the push comes through. Pip goes down again. This Vendetta just has not been in a team fight so far. Always the one dying first in these last 3 fights.
Gotta shout out Janetta Sect, just because I wanted to try and say their name one more time without stuttering. That was hard. But also hitting a headshot out of Kiriko. That is next level value from a support. And Georgia Tech, they capped their first point, and they didn't have to use any ultimates to do so, and then they could engage. Oh my god, that wall was disgusting from Sir Technical. And then they got Blizzard, Gravitic Flux, so many big AoE ultimates to try and trap Arcadia.
Yeah, and I mean, this has just been so smart from Georgia Tech and what they've been doing. They knew they wanted to focus down the Vendetta. Vendetta is still incredibly strong, maybe not as strong as she was beforehand, but the Mei pick has just been revolutionary for this Georgia Tech side, and you talked about the ultimates. They have 5 in the bank in this next fight.
All right, Georgia Tech had their tank get kind of low, so Arcadia was checking things out as Arcadia begins to firebolt the back line. A good response with the sound barrier. Holiday throws a self-destruct on top to try and chunk everybody down, bring them into cover. The Blizzard, Sir Technical has to drop it on his own body just to peel back against Arcadia, who have sent their Vendetta on a vengeance journey. Someone manages to slash and dash through Hayden before getting traded out, and what remains as the dust settles is Georgia Tech is still above water.
Yeah, and I would have actually liked to have seen Aruda hold on to that Emre ultimate coming into this next fight, especially if you're going to have the sound barrier where you can blanket it and really just guarantee that you're going to get a lot of damage done. Holiday still sticking onto this D.Va, but again, Killswitch is just being that anchor, playing so effectively right now. All-Star comes in with the Emre ultimate, not finding the kills just yet, but the damage is through.
Oh, Genetisect being very patient when using the Kitsune Rush. You want to make sure Arcadia are fully committed in, or they just will escape. They will probably be able to either match the Kitsune Rush or try to delay, but this is really last fight for Georgia Tech when it comes to the second point. Kitsune Rushes are exchanged. Sound barrier advantage will be in Arcadia's court on when they would unleash this. And even though they had the 2 picks, they want the guarantee they will have everyone involved in this retake. Arcadia will be successful, and it's a 0 to 100 comeback needed to try and capture this point.
An expensive fight, but I mean, I know you love D.Va players, Jen, and I want to shout out Holiday there, who was doing a fantastic job of covering the Kiriko, making sure that Suzu, the secondary one, was not allowed to come out and get value in that team fight. Really clutch defense matrix, turn that fight around completely, let the rest of Arcadia do the damage, and now Georgia Tech will try again to aggress.
Okay, dodging that, charging up, and Georgia Tech remains safe. They're actually trying to wall people in, play off their Sigma shield, and just slowly scale this. Georgia Tech are a really patient team in that regard, but man, this May got slashed immediately, wasn't able to ice block in time, and Arcadia just full throttle advance off that pick. A Sound Bear 4v5 re-engage. Georgia Tech are believers, and can you blame them? But unfortunately, Killswitch gets pushed off the map, and that really kills any momentum Georgia Tech could have had off of that.
Yeah, I think Killswitch actually would have potentially been, if they were in that fight, potentially that fight looks completely different and winnable for Georgia Tech, but now it's a 1v1. Arcadia coming back from the death a little bit right now, and they are starting to really maneuver around well. Pip respecting, I think, the incoming damage of the May, the accretion percentage and the CC potential of the Sigma. They're doing a much better job now that they've kind of downloaded a little bit what Georgia Tech is trying to do.
It's a good balancing, too, of the aggression for Holiday. You just can't be in a Sigma space. You got to be able to trade with your teammates. Pip is really testing the limits, but the Blizzard gets denied. A huge play from Holiday, and Georgia Tech gets split apart. Talk about that 0 to 100 comeback from Arcadia. They get to kick off point 3 now with a capture as well.
Yeah, if Arcadia do end up winning this series, they need to buy Holiday steak dinner. I mean, this has been a fantastic D.Va performance. It's the only reason you could argue that they're still in this game with how well this D.Va has been maneuvering. Arcadia coming up on a lot of those key ultimates. You have that ultimate from the Vendetta. You also have a Kitsune Rush way a little bit ahead of Gensec there. So this is a moment where if you're Georgia Tech, you have to find a way in, but it's going to be difficult.
Saving Joe, lining up the Kitsune Rush. The team is a little bit split, just trying to create a crossfire at the choke point. Kitsune Rush used actually from the attacking side, and Killswitch hits an ultimate accretion onto Pip. You got this 5v4. Is it enough for Georgia Tech? Saving Joe doesn't even invest in the Kitsune Rush. Holiday didn't get the memo that maybe the team was resetting, and that's fine. You're just trying to maybe extend what little percentage you can squeeze out here, almost at, I didn't want to say the number, now 70%, and Georgia Tech will flip with ultimates to spare too.
I wasn't, like, when the original voice line for the ult came out, I wasn't actually thrilled with it, but there, I mean, you got basically another 15%, which puts you in last fight territory right now if you are Arcadia, but Georgia Tech, I mean, they're coming in on a treasure trove of opens. You have a Gravitic Flux available to you. The Rapid True needs to find this sound barrier in time. If you go into this fight without a sound barrier, it is not going to go well for them at all.
Looking for the guaranteed fight win here with the Saving Joe. Kitsune Rush leads them towards the point. Killswitch brings the shield up. You layer that with the main wall. Sound Bear on top. Arcadia are throwing both support ultimates at this. And Aruda needs to provide these kills. Pip will at least go for the executions. And Holiday is getting tossed around. Killswitch is relentless. And now Pip has to try and deal with a tank. That's difficult enough. The fight is as chaotic as it gets. And the Blizzard locks down everybody. Sir Technical was able to deny everything Arcadia had in the bank, and at around 80%, this will be match point, series point here for Georgia Tech.
I mean, at this point, it feels like a clutch off between who can get some of these clutch plays between these two teams. It's on a knife's edge right now because Sir Technical comes in with a huge blizzard that completely turns that fight around, and like you mentioned, Jen, last fight, or last chance for this Arcadia team to try and come back into this one. They need to win this specific flashpoint to continue not a lot of ultimates to talk about, so this first fight that we're going to have is going to be one completely in the neutral.
And it's giving like 50 shades of reverse sweep. Does that count in a best of 3? Well, Georgia Tech are about to invent that if they can pull this off. But man, Pip is insane on the Vendetta. Does not care if you're a tank, support, or DPS. You're all about to catch these hands. And Georgia Tech lose that first fight for the point, and this is great for Arcadia.
Yeah, and I like that Arcadia was a little bit aggressive there. They forced out the Suzu really early, and usually when that Suzu comes out, that's the go button for these Vendettas to get a little bit more aggressive because your damage cannot be just completely iframed. So really heads up play from Arcadia, who now get to hold this corner, get to start farming their ultimates. I'm a little bit worried about the difference between Lucio ultimates, but here comes the ultimate Vendetta. Doesn't find purchase.
I like that they've ducked into cover, just knowing the kill switch, maybe even heard the accretion get started up. But Kitsune Rush is going to be the name of the game coming up for Genetisect and Saving Joe. And Arcadia just needs to stall. But now Holiday's getting overpowered. Maybe that's fine with the self-destruct available. Hayden's not there for the sound barrier. And here comes the Hail Mary from Arcadia. A lot of big investments. Holiday able to get back to mech, which is what's important. But Georgia losing that fight when they had Kitsune Rush, that is dire. Arcadia could be forcing the final point here soon.
Yeah, I mean, that pick onto Hayden was so big. Not only does it completely remove the sound barrier in that team fight, but it lets Rapid get back over towards being able to match it in this next team fight, which is going to be on our last flashpoint. We had 2 stomps in our first 2 maps, and we wanted a knockdown, drag-out fight between these teams on our last flashpoint, and we're getting it here on Atlas, Joe.
Comes down to this final point. 4 ults to 2. Georgia Tech in the driver's seat. Can kill switch, get a really nice group up. It's going to be difficult with how mobile Arcadia are. And of course, if that Suzu is going to be used. Soundbeer, tempo engage. Georgia Tech want to take matters into their own hands. And they'll have All-Star just toss everybody up with the kill switch combo. That is insane. They turned the switch on and Arcadia are off the map.
And we didn't see it, but if you look in the top left, the Rapid True got hit by an accretion like 3% away from sound barrier. Masterfully played from Killswitch. If that sound barrier's there and you're able to survive a little bit longer from Arcadia, that fight looks completely different. Again, another clutch play from one of these players ends up making the difference because these two teams are so close. Blizzard available, and if you're Arcadia, you're feeling a little bit scared because now you're walking into a Blizzard. You gotta know that's available on the other side.
See what Rapid, now that you know that the Gravitic Flux has been used, you could try and do your impression of a tempo engage, and Eruda, what a pick onto a Kiriko, make it 2! This guy's taking over! Who needs ults? You just need this guy. Promoted to the Face It Expert League, I want to see more of Eruda. Arcadia, back in the game.
Eruda doing me proud as a Turkish person playing on Emre right now. This has been a fantastic performance from him. Still on the flank, seeing if you can secure a pick here. All-Star's actually gone over to the Sojourn, so offering that 1 pick potential. The Vendetta ult, can it find anything?
Oh, the Lucio was right there. Pip, careful on the trigger. Holiday supporting Pip. Oh, the accretion's nasty. That is the goal sign for Kill Switch. They've trapped Holiday as well. He's going to be forced to use the self-destruct soon. The May thrown in their face. Sir Technical locking down the area, and a response using the sound barrier self-destruct. Georgia Tech. Now they've just lost the lead, and Arcadia are back in the game more than ever. They do need to heal themselves up. Holiday has been abandoned. There's no tank protecting this point now. So Georgia Tech, this is the go sign.
Yeah, I think they're just going to try your stall right now if you're Arcadia as much as you can. Get it towards that 99%, just so you know it's a last fight win for you. But with how fast these flashpoints tick up, it's last fight for both of these teams. This is the penultimate fight between them. Whoever wins this is going to be going forward in the bracket. Now, what do we have? And you look at Georgia Tech's ultimate economy right now, Jen, and if I'm an Arcadia fan, I am feeling so scared right now. Double support ultimates, Gravitic Flux available. It needs to be a miracle from Arcadia to win this team fight.
Hey, that miracle, sometimes his name is Eruda. Remember that fight, the triple kill? I'm looking towards Arcadia and how they can lean into him. But Georgia Tech, like you said, they have the tools, and Eruda unleashes right into the shield. It causes the sound barrier to come out, and Georgia Tech are gonna rally around the Kitsune Rush, and they've split Arcadia apart, and they step off the point! Georgia Tech move on to the next round.
Oh, the C9 at the very end. Oh, from That's a heartbreaker for Arcadia. They played their absolute hearts out there. Georgia Tech, though, clutch it up with their play. Those accretions that we saw in those last couple of fights there from Killswitch Gen, I mean, immaculate is the only word I have for it. So many of those fights look completely different if those rocks aren't hitting.
And just this whole team's calling was so superb, knowing when Holiday was out of the picture, and especially in an Overwatch 5v5 situation, it's so important that when you kill the tank to run the DPS down, especially if they're out of cooldowns. And the calling from Georgia Tech was perfect on realizing those win conditions and to brush off things like the Blizzard getting eaten. They found value and adjusted from there on out, and never again was a Blizzard eaten. So it's not always about how many times you fall, but it's how many times you got up, and Georgia Tech pulled off the reverse sweep.
Yeah, and I want to give, huge shout-outs to both these teams for their ability to adapt, like you were talking about, in the mid-set. With all the pressure that's on these teams to go forward, they changed up their play styles with the D.Va, with Pip on this Vendetta, and then it was Georgia Tech's turn to try and change things up. Just really, really good Overwatch, I think, from both of them in that last map. It was what we asked for. It's what we got. It's unfortunate that one of these teams has to leave the tournament because they both played really fantastically in both of their own rights.
Oh, and this next round for Georgia Tech could be quite scary because it's, one, it's a very large bracket. Second of all, they face the winner of Winthrop versus Texas Tech. Just to remind everyone who's on Winthrop, it's like, Zera, Kaluge, Infected, Liar, Rack Attack, Ultraviolet. It's basically a pro team. So we'll see if they come out with a win against Texas Tech, because that's still a match that has to happen.
It has to happen, yes.
It has to happen. Which, it's Overwatch. Anything can happen. But we have more matches. Overwatch will happen also around this corner, so don't go anywhere. What is our next match, Kenobi?
Our next match is, as I also look over at the Discord,
the
Northeastern versus Converse right at the other side of this break. So don't go anywhere. Get you some Capri Suns, get some lemon slices, not lemon slices, your lemon, orange slices, and we'll see you at the end of this break.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Overwatch Collegiate Open. We have a surprise for you. It's a post-match interview with none other than Flex DPS extraordinaire, Sir Technical from Georgia Tech. So great to meet you. Hello, congratulations over your win over Arcadia. That was intense. We have so much to talk about, but talk to me about map number 1, because it did not start your way. What happened and what changed going deeper into the series?
Yeah, I think the Tracer ban really hurt us. We wanted to ban D.Va because we wanted to play ball, and we were really confident in that. But once the Tracer got banned, I think I tried Echo at the beginning. It kind of was kind of hard to into their Emre. So then I tried Sombra, and it worked a bit better. But maybe we're just getting that first map jitters out of the way as well.
Okay.
That's fair.
So then, we map 1's a little bit, hard to get the jitters, and then you get to map 2, you go to Havana. And you're running double sniper like the Lakers and Bulls used to run the triangle. Like you guys were, it was incredible how you guys were you're using sonic arrows to cover for each other, and just the way you guys were playing. That one felt like it was very much like you have been practiced on that map so effectively, and it felt like you had a lot of confidence. Is that kind of where you wanted to reset the ship, where you're okay, we can go to this map, it's our comfort map, we know that we can pretty much beat anyone here?
Yeah, so we've been playing really well on Havana recently, and our strategy was just to ban Dom and force them into a Sig mirror. Killswitch, that guy is just the GOAT on Sig. He's just one of the best Sigmas in Collegiate. Yeah. And we just know if we can force a Sig mirror, we will win against 99% of the teams in this tournament.
Hey, I thought you were the GOAT on Atlas. Some of these icicles were so clean. We don't talk about the one blizzard. We talk about all the other blizzards, though. But I want to talk to you about individually, you as a player, your growth and your journey through Collegiate. How has that been? Because I'm sure you've done a lot of work to prep for playoffs.
Yeah, so I guess introduction to me, I started on Georgia Tech White. I was originally a tank player in Overwatch 1 and at the beginning of Overwatch 2, and my captain was like, you should play Flex DPS. So I started playing Flex DPS, and I really got good at Tracer, but this meta, it's more of the rush DPS, the Vendettas, the Mays, the Ventures, all that stuff. So I've been working really hard on trying to get my hero pool up to snuff. And I think our counter comp for the Vendetta comp was the Sig May, and I think we had a perfect read on that, and it worked to perfection. So
that was awesome.
Yeah, it did look really, and talk to me a little bit about that last map, because it felt like the nerves were there, the pressure was there throughout all of that, and I'm interested in what the comm structure looks like in your team, because you do have some substitutions and things like that. In a map where it is do or die, we're going to the last fight on the last flashpoint to survive. What is the comm structure like that? Is it by committee? Do you have someone who's kind of leading the charge in that regards? Really, how does, take me inside what it is to play for this Georgia Tech team?
Yeah, so Hayden was really insistent, don't get too excited, don't chase the kills, you need to calm down, and I think that really helped us in that last fight. And we were pretty calm in the last point, because we knew we had the ult advantage. We just won the first point, and if you get cap on the first flash, if you get cap on the point, usually you win that flash point. So it's it was pretty chill. But last fight, when we did lose a fight, it get kind of hectic, and then Hayden and Killswitch were calm down, we got this, we have our ults, let's just play the way we're supposed to play, and we pulled it out at the end.
Yeah, you gave us an absolute banger of a series. Congratulations on that. I guess reverse sweep, if that counts on best of 3. And my last question being, your next match coming up, that's going to be an interesting one. We're waiting for the winner of Winthrop versus Texas Tech. So do you have any vibes on who will come out of that series and how that's going to go for you?
I don't know how the match is going to go, but I know we'll try our best. And wish us luck.
Good answer.
Awesome. Good answer.
Good answer, Steve. Thank you so much, Sir Technical. Congratulations again. Go and celebrate with the team, and looking forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Back to you later. Later indeed, because they have another match in this deep playoff bracket for Collegiate, and pretty nice guy, huh, Kenobi?
Yeah, that was a great interview. I'm glad I'm glad they all understand how good Kill Switch is, because some of the, I mean, I was talking about how they got, if it was Arcadia who won, they had to buy Holiday steak. They got to buy Kill Switch steak, I think, for the way that that's.
They all should get steak.
Yeah, let's get everyone steak. Let's go to like a Texas. I don't know what's in Georgia. There's probably a Texas Roadhouse.
Georgia Roadhouse.
Outback steak. I can't say probably too many of those because they.
But anyway,
there's some steakhouses over there.
Yeah, and we'll get to the meat of the potatoes of this bracket here very soon, because up next we have Converse versus Northeastern facing off in another best of three, and you won't want to miss it. We've got match 2 ready for you guys here at the Overwatch Collegiate Open, featuring Northeastern versus Converse. I'm really excited about this match, Kenobi, because, man, we're getting to see kind of old meta, new meta in our first series. I went to map 3. Imagine this one.
Yeah, I hope that it's another 3-mapper that we get here, because these teams, I mean, that first series was super entertaining, and this one has a lot to live up to. But I think both these teams definitely have the chops to try and do so.
Yeah, and we can start off with our first roster, Northeastern, featuring a lot of good names. This is a top 4 team in the East, top 32 at the last homecoming playoffs, and they recently took a big win against Texas A&M, a top 20 team, by the way, to qualify here. So I'm excited to see how far Northeastern can get this time.
Yeah, and I think, again, we kind of talk about how some of these players may not be as known as some of the players that we'll have later on in the bracket if the things shape up like we expect them to do. But it's really nice to kind of learn about some of these players, like even in our last series where we had a lot of those players kind of coming to the forefront. But our next team is going to be Converse University, a university who's kind of started to make some moves in Overwatch Collegiate, starting to really rise to the occasion, getting a lot of these top 32 placements in the official Overwatch collegiate tournaments that we have here. Ezekiel, I'm going to be saying Ezekiel so many times with that one. Sorry.
Yeah, kind of looks like an owl, right?
Yeah, Garchomp, Chance, and Tickety. So this is a team where you do have some more of those known quantities. In terms of players.
Tickety, Team Canada coach. Okay, Overwatch World Cup. Anybody remember? Anybody? This was when Team Canada was good, okay? So I'm fully trusting in Tickety to just bring back like that stardom. Bring Canada back, okay? We need to be great again. But not make this team great again. Converse also is investing a lot of their esports programs, so I'm excited to see how far Converse can get. But when you got brains like Tickety on the team, I have no doubt that, however this map one starts, they'll know how to adapt going forward.
Definitely experience is one of the things that you have with this team. So I'm interested to see, now that we don't really have the ball thing as like being like the Hammond thing, because that felt like it was very much a Sklee exclusive thing. I wonder where the pick bans are going to be going this time. Domina seems to be something that people don't necessarily want to play against. Sometimes Tracer still feels like it's banned out sometimes, but it's actually going to be the Emre and the D.Va. So it means that we're not going to have a lot of that mobility coming in from that tank role, unless we see something like a Winston. But based on the fact that we're going to Lijiang Tower, I'm thinking Ramatra mirrors, maybe some Zarya coming up, a lot more of that slower style.
Yeah, and every team has brought their different styles. There's been so many Vendetta teams where, I think Azaria pairs beautifully with that. That was like a big meta in the tier 2 space. And Ramatras, even Sigmas, depending on kind of which round of Lijiang Tower you want to go to, I would say stronger on Control Center. And we'll see kind of what vibes we're going to based on what point. Because the dive, I think, is always viable on Gardens, for example, while Night Market favors more of a bunker style where you could even see like more niche stuff like Symmetra come out on a map like this.
I think on Night Market as well, I was watching some of the US trials, and they were doing the classic teleport the Symmetra into the into the point from the rooftop and just dive in, put down all of those turrets, and that certainly makes it a lot harder for Vendettas to operate if you're playing a composition like that on a map like that where it's a little bit more enclosed. But I think Vendetta does have some sort of value on maps like this, and with her avoiding the ban phase, I think we are going to be seeing probably a good amount of her, if not mirrored, at least from one of these teams.
And you heard kind of in our last interview just how important that first fight is. And I think especially on Lijiang Tower, if you can win that first fight, it's a very defendable map on all 3 points, especially Control Center. If I had to guess that map, this is giving Night Market. We'll see once we.
Yeah, I think this is the outside.
It's giving Night Market.
Yeah.
I used to love playing the guess that map.
Yeah, the GeoGuessr for.
Yeah. For Overwatch, I was so good at that. Okay, I think I absolutely nailed it. But we'll find out also when we get out of spawn. Domina appearance.
Okay,
that would be fun.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I wonder if it's good. We do see the Symmetra on Converse's side here, so they definitely could still use that style of composition, but just use it with the Domina instead, just teleport and go directly onto that point, make it difficult for Northeastern to advance, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that. They're just going to actually just try and mono this one up against the Zarya.
Garchomp is going to be getting a lot of that attention on them, and I mean, Domina can do it all. Put up a shield, do damage, got a laser of her own, and now you have this Vendetta putting pressure on the backline. Gets absolutely evaporated, maybe even through a Zarya bubble. So Northeastern don't have a strong win condition, especially with their backline in trouble. So gonna take a quick reset. Important to not give up kills or unnecessary ult charge to Converse.
Yeah, and that's another thing that really works out well with this Domina against something like the Vendetta. You can use that push them into a wall, stun them, get them off of your backline, and really be adept at peeling, and Converse is going to be happy holding this point and continuing to take up this percentage.
Yeah, and when you shoot this Domina shield, only parts of it break down, and Domina can just play around that cover, so it is very difficult to take to get through, along with Vader, who just gets a double kill sitting behind their tank. And this is going to be the beauty of running a long-range hit scan like that with a shield tank. So Converse have the right idea.
Yeah, I mean, Ducklin right now only at 30%. This is, like, not too far away just from passive, and it's not because of anything they're doing wrong. It's just because the peel has been so good from Converse, and the focus and the shot calling, making sure that this Vendetta does not get a lot of value, has been really effective. So Ducklin will have to try and maneuver around in some different ways here to try and get value.
Trying to ignore that tank as much as possible. I like the pathing so far of Ducklin, but maybe focusing too much on that Domino, but it's the one thing that would make the rest of the dominoes fall, and what's falling right now is Northeastern, who are trying to escape away from the Kitsune Rush. Invader strikes the shot that's true right through Konar. A lot of focus has been going into these supports, and very valid of Converse to do so, because they've barely broken a sweat. Kitsune Rush invested, Northeastern don't fall too many, and now they can re-engage very soon.
Yeah, and these fights have been, these fights have been going so well for Converse. The Chance hasn't really had the ability to farm up this sound barrier as the gauge comes in again from Ducklin, but pushed away. Graviton Surge comes out, and Garchomp is getting obliterated.
That was such a good grab, too, because it got the Domina outside of her shield. So, Northeastern play off so well off that Graviton, although it is maybe a bit bloodier than Northeastern expected. I think it's like a 2v2, and Zike is going to wait for their moment to shine. But at 94%, Converse are sitting pretty.
Yeah, and look at the ultimate economy that they have as well to walk into this one. They're going to be feeling really, really good. Can Ducklin find something maybe with this Vendetta ultimate, that one-shot potential? Very big, especially if he can find one of the supports.
Oh, the sound barrier, the bubbles, Hedwig unleashing, Converse trying to have some presence on the point, but might be okay to just try and surround Northeastern, but Ducklin, man, just can't seem to catch a break. Garchomp chomps through too, and maybe that's all you need, just a sturdy tank, and no one that can have a response to this. 94% and cat for Converse. Northeastern just need to get the pedal to the metal, but they can't even keep their feet on the point. It is just feeling impossible. Hail Mary, bubble, Vendetta fully charged ultimate does not scratch the surface of this ironclad Converse team, so the cap does go through Northeastern's way, but I feel like we're just delaying the inevitable here.
Yeah, it's just going to end right now. And I got to give a great, big shout out to how Garchomp played. They were fantastic in terms of just being able to turn around, make sure that the Vendetta was taken care of, push them away whenever that happened. Really, really heads-up stuff from Converse to be able to basically completely negate. Ducklin, the first ultimate that he got was at the end of the round, and it was like a 90. It was like a 99 to something like 30 right there. So this was just really heads-up play from the entirety of Converse, but Garchomp looking very good as well.
Yeah, and I feel like to go up against a Domina like Garchomp, it's you gotta commit to the full flank or commit to a full front to back. And just having this hybrid, ranged hit scan with a diver like Ducklin, Azaria Bubble's not gonna cut it, but maybe on Control Center, what is gonna cut it is whoever wins this first fight. Domina's gonna make a return here for Converse. Northeastern sticking to what they know best with the Cassidy.
Yeah, it's a little bit more enclosed, so now the Domina can get a lot of that cleave value. Potentially, Converse have to play a little bit more, respectful, I'd say, of something like this Vendetta, just to make sure that there isn't going to be that one-shot potential. But looks like, again, they're playing very slow, waiting. Already Suzu is taken out, so that's a one cooldown that you don't have for Ducklin.
Ducklin getting that bubble, already forcing the Tracer back, and no recall, nowhere to go, gets surprised, and Northeastern at least are finding the targets that they can actually lock down. And Converse were so focused on the poke, that's what worked for them all night market, but it's not going to work out this time. Northeastern adapting and overcoming Converse in the first fight.
Yeah, really like the decision-making coming in from Ducklin to play a little bit slower, go after some of those squishier targets instead of just trying to brute force their way into that tank battle. Ends up working out really well for them. And now we're seeing a Bastion, which is not something I would have ever expected to see, but there's not a lot of shielding on this Northeastern side.
Okay, well, behind the shield, Vader emerges, forces Northeastern to scatter, to flounder, and to use up these Saria bubbles as Hedwig finds another angle and tries to combine here with Ducklin. But Arlanta's much closer than the Kitsune Rush, so that could be how Converse get back to this fight, and you'll be getting it back into nothing without your tank. So Converse, yet again.
Ooh. Also going to take down Arlanta at the very end, so that's more time that's taken off the clock right now for Northeastern, ticking up past that 50%. I think the Bastion, I get the idea, but I would love something like a Mei that we saw as a good way to counter out that Vendetta. Just throw those walls out and make it so difficult for her to get out of those engagements.
See how they can defend this. Kitsune Rush, though, in their face. Converse making a big push, and Ducklin could not surprise Converse. They have eyes at the back of their head, and Will their heads remain intact? Converse already taken a back seat, and this forces a recap from Northeastern. Only 8% given up, near flawless, but they don't have Konar. They have a sound barrier, they have a grab. Is that enough to supplement with the lack of healing? Converse don't have a response, so Northeastern are able to make do and salvage that fight when they lost Konar so early.
Very expensive, though, for Northeastern, basically having to use every single ultimate in their bank. Converse will be coming in. Chance needs to probably find a way to get towards this Sunbury, but the flank from Hedwig looking for a head to shoot. Ooh,
okay.
Very close.
I think it might have been the recall, too, from the Tracer, so Northeastern... Oh, no recall. No chance. Oh, okay, still had the recall. Okay. I would have expected that. And even with the Lucio, Hedwig gets overwhelmed. Northeastern just get to C9 into round 3. Yeah. Oh, no. Two of them in one day, Kenobi? Are we serious?
Yeah, that's not what you want to see if you're Converse there. Because that fight was definitely winnable, especially because they were up 1. That is a vintage C9 grade A USDA that we saw right there. And I like the way that Northeastern have adapted a little bit around playing with this composition in particular. Bringing in Hedwig on that Cassidy makes the Tracer a little bit harder to maneuver around. Ducklin's playing a lot more patient, waiting for those Zarya bubbles, and now we'll see if Converse, are they going to switch up anything? Vader going over... I mean, the Bastion still, I guess that does, burst down the front line pretty effectively, but still, I really would like something like we saw like a Mei on that previous match.
Chicken just practicing rollouts, forgets to speed the team out. It's all good, though. We got a Farah just salt and peppering on top of Northeastern. They're going to find some cover from the storm within Dojo. And this is where they're waiting for the call to unleash the fight, which may be waiting until the point actually unlocks, so you maximize that potential. But Frisco's kind of booped on that trajectory. Someone has to pay attention to this Farah, and it's got to be Hedwig. But ZK just plays so well covered around this shield. Converse almost got away with a cap. Northeastern are going to step forward to deny that. Konar should be able to teleport towards the fight here very soon, and Northeastern, they're in trouble trying to protect themselves because the Bastion, the Farah, it's so much damage. Northeastern clap back though, taking down the tank, and now nothing is going to protect Converse, and Northeastern will be protecting the point.
And the thing about this Converse composition is, like, if you're gonna run this, you need to find the spam needs to be able to be converted into picks. If not, Northeastern is totally fine playing a much slower game, and you can actually see Vader going over to the Sojourn just to offer that potential with the rail shots to find those picks, because it just wasn't working out with the Bastion. Really good peel coming out from Northeastern, who are so far ahead right now in terms of those ultimates.
And Kitsune Rush all ready for Atlanta. Oh, Hedwig! That'll teach you to respect the Farah a bit too much. Fantastic play, and then the Kitsune Rush is just kind of sealing the deal. The bow on top, the cherry on top of the cake, whatever you want to call it. Converse barely had to budge at all. The DPS do all the talking, and then they only had to give up 37 for that.
Yeah, if I was being super nitpicky, I wouldn't have wanted that Kitsune Rush to go through, but it's totally fine. As now, this is going to be where the Farah is going to be able to thrive, because you have a lot of these angles, and again, the Sojourn as well, you have these angles to just burst down people. The spam is going to be so good, and Northeastern is going to have to basically walk through World War Trench to be able to get to this point, but they will eventually have the ultimates to do so. 5 upcoming for them. Chance needs to have this sound barrier in time to match.
Frisco doing his zombie impression there and just trying to walk out. They're stumbling away towards the left side. The barrier's a little early, in my opinion. Maybe thinking Converse were closer than they were, and Converse can just back away and respect this while not giving up the point. Northeastern now have to invest in Kitsune Rush and Konar! It's headshot by Arlanta! This is disastrous for Northeastern, and now they're desperate to pull out the ultimates and just to zone off to get the cap, and Northeastern aren't even successful at that. It is an absolute bloodbath, I gotta say, because it costed Converse some warm bodies, but at the end of the day, you're having a very threatening Vendetta still left on the field, and investing in Ducklin will always pay off.
Yeah, the fact that Ezekiel wasn't able to find picks with that barrage was completely disastrous for Converse, because I thought that, I guess that sound barrier got them through the barrage, but it just felt like it was so early. But hey, if it does work, it ends up working, looking like a good play for them. As Graviton Surge available for Briscoe, could just throw it into the side of this doorway right here, but gets taken down so low, but the heals are fantastic.
Oh my god, and you got the Domina outside of the shield, and everyone falls, and you got so much energy after Frisco, and this is fantastic. When you're able to survive fights as the Zarya, you have the extra damage, and you become a lethal threat. Northeastern needed a cheap fight too after what we just saw.
Yeah, I want to play with supports like I Like Chicken and Kona right now. This is direct call out towards LaFawn, who does not heal me on Ana as well as these two are healing their tanks, but this has just been a great performance so far from the supports.
Oh, Kitsune rush diff though. Okay, it is scared Northeastern into submission. So Converse, instead of chasing, are gonna go to the point to try and flip, and that's where Ducklin's forced to use cooldowns. Got Domina having the shields up. Northeastern respecting the space. Converse have some work ahead of them just to catch up in the score, as Vader's gonna knock at the door, and Ducklin becomes a victim. At this point, Northeastern should just jump off the map, and Frisco gets the memo, and so should Northeastern just hold hands on that one. And Converse, one fight away from taking the map.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit worried when I look at the ultimate economy right here, because you look at I Like Chicken and Konar so far ahead on those support ultimates, and they really can farm them very easily walking in here. They just need to be so careful to not die to spam. If they're careful and they just play this correctly, very easily should they be able to take this point.
One last chance for Northeastern. What you got in the bank? A Kitsune rush. That's on the menu. Do Converse want a piece of it? They want a piece of Ducklin. He's already got his armor cracked. He's healed back up thanks to that Kitsune rush, and Converse head for the hills. But they also head to lean behind Garchomp, who still has the shield front and center. As ZK looks for a barrage opportunity. He's gonna wait though because of the sound barrier. The EMP is gonna cancel the Deadeye, but Hedwig still gets the last laugh. Northeastern have evicted Converse from the playing field, and they'll have a say at this in map number 2 coming up, because Lijiang Tower goes to Northeastern.
Yeah, Northeastern, I mean, the wallets were just too big of a differential at the very end in that last fight that we saw. The way that they played around those support ultimates, very effective as well from Northeastern, who take that 1-0 victory. Converse put up a good fight, but I really like this support beat at the very end. But I really like the change into that Cassidy. Hedwig had some really good moments on it. I think the Pharah had, like, when the Pharah could get and, you know, stay with the advantage of positioning and continue that spam onto the rest of the team, I think that's when it had the value, but they never really had control. And Pharah is usually one of those heroes that you want to have a lot of control of those sight lines, of the spacing of your team. And when Hedwig is playing so well on the Cassidy that you're not really allowed to do that, the Pharah doesn't end up working.
I guess, like, it's strong overall on that map. They got the one boop, but I think the one barrage that could have ruled them all got beaten. Yeah. sound barrier, if you will. So that's where I, like, kind of sucked. You can't really barrage into that, or you're just absolutely cooked. And so I like that. I still like the composition out of Converse. I think it just got out pressured, and that's the way to get past the shield. It's not really through it, but sometimes around it. And Northeastern struggled to do that on the very first point, because they just got picked off by Vader, who went sicko mode on Sojourn in the very first round. But Northeastern just never gave up. If anything, the confidence bloomed towards the end of that map.
Yeah, and it kind of it makes me, I'm a little bit like upset that I didn't get to see Vader on Sojourn more, because they brought out the Bastion, which again I like the idea where you're thinking, okay, you know, there's not really a lot to deal with this frontline pressure that we're going to be putting through, but when you have the healers like I Like Chicken and Konar, it doesn't matter how much damage you're doing and how much pressure you're putting through. The healing output has just been so fantastic for this Northeastern backline that it really didn't end up mattering too much.
Yeah, Hedwig just dealing with all of that stress while still landing all the shots. Very impressed with Northeastern, not only how they capped off that map, but the fact it was off of a comeback. Northeastern sitting pretty in the series. Converse, they gotta choose our next map, and if they like that Domina, there is so many maps where she is great at. So wondering if they still want to lean on ZK in that Tracer, or if they want to go to something that has more ranged prowess, maybe.
I think the Domina also is worth copping a ban potentially at this point. Like, I mean, I think if you if you're the other side, whether you're Northeastern, you're like, okay, we beat it. Like, it's definitely something that the other team feels comfortable with. Maybe we just take it off the board entirely, and that way they can't ban something like a Zarya from us, which I think would be something to think about going into this, because the Zarya did look very, very strong. I think also Lucio and Kiri could maybe see some sort of ban potentials with the way that the Northeastern backline was playing at such a high level. So I think that there's a lot of options here. Some of those, because I think that, like, Lucio Kiriko I feel like we've been playing Lucio Kiriko since Kiriko got released. And, and it's just like, it's a duo that stood the test of time. I think that there aren't really maps that don't work for Lucio Kiriko. Like, it feels like you can just play it anywhere. And if you really want to move away from Lucio Kiriko, you have to put the ban on it. There's no real other option.
I definitely think it's got to be like a Vendetta or a Zarya ban from Converse. And even then, it could be also very map dependent. I think Converse can look at how Night Market went and been like, wow, if we can just sit back and poke and prod at anybody and have Garchomp protect everybody with a shield of some sort, usually a Domina, then that was incredible. So I want to see definitely what Vader can do with even more space, which guess what? If we're not playing control, there's more space to be had. So this is where the DPS can shine even more.
Yeah, I think a Zarya ban would be good. Not only does it take away the Zarya, which looked good, but I think it also takes away the ability to have Vendetta kind of just play with reckless abandon, because if you're just always throwing bubble on the Vendetta, very difficult for Vendetta to be killed, not only given her own defensives, but the fact that there's a giant bubble now, and then Zarya's getting charged, and it's just, you know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy there, where the Vendetta and the Zarya are just going to end up ruining your team, which is what we saw. So I think that Zarya is definitely an area I would go, maybe potentially start thinking about the supports and taking away those bans, but it feels like they're taking time right now to pick what they're going to, and they're actually going to be going over to New Junk City, but the Vendetta is going to take B-Band right away.
Which, thank God, because this is a Vendetta playground. And with how good Northeastern looked on Lijiang Tower, this is a solid ban from Converse. And then I am imagining Northeastern want to get rid of the Ramatra. So I don't know if there's a backup plan to try and... is there another composition besides the Vendetta that we could see out of Northeastern? We know their range capabilities are very strong behind Hedwig and any hit scan he wants to play, but what does Duckland go to? That's going to be my big question.
It's very interesting that the Ramatra got banned, because I would have expected, like, Rush to be the thing that's going to be played, and without Ramatra, I think it's still possible, but maybe, like, the Zarya version is the one that's going to be coming to the forefront.
Or Orisa, my girl Orisa.
You're trying to do your best Rich Rat impression there, like trying to get Orisa in here, but I don't think it's gonna. Not sure that it's gonna happen. I think that the ban from Northeastern, though, to take away Ramatra is very smart, because it leaves them open Zarya no matter what, because it can't be banned on the other side. And then I think the ban of, you know, Vendetta, with how well it was played by Northeastern and by Duckland, I think is very smart.
All right, no Orisa, unless.
Doors
obviously
open,
Domina is still on the menu, but that was more Converse's thing. So Northeastern are just gonna play with their food. Honestly, go with the map brand. Junker Queen on the new Junk City. You got the map buff, right?
It's possible. I would love it. I'd love to see like an honorable Junker Queen. Oh, that's
Pizza
pineapple
Gang.
Pizza? No, it's not pineapple. Is that pineapple? It is.
Yeah.
That's they're cultured. We love that. Sigma.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Sigma.
Not
okay.
something I was expecting. This is going to be an interesting matchup. It's kind of like we saw with the Sigma versus Sigma Mirror, but there is going to be a difference that you have a little bit more of that spam potential with Frisco, and you have some CC potential, but the shielding is a little bit more just you drop it and you kind of have to play around it. So you can play a little bit more with mobility.
Oh man, Frisco's being so aggressive. Like, this is insane. Putting the shield like right in the Domina's face. Frisco is only pressing W, thinking, okay, if I just pressure the Domina out of her shield, this works out. And Hedwig's going for the final shot. And man, it's a ring around the rosy game. It is deadly. Northeastern gonna get a cap while Converse play cat and mouse. And Ezike would be the one to try and contest this, and probably sees like 5 people on the point, doesn't want that smoke. So Converse, oh, they hit the shot that matters, but it is traded. ZK has not given up, and he will not surrender. He's now gonna harass this backline. Sylvester's quite weak to flanks as well, and Duckland needs to generate that charge to become more and more lethal. And if anything, it's our Atlanta that is lethal yet again. From the Baptiste to the Kiriko has shown us all the looks, and Converse are gonna show us what the point looks like too.
I mean, Northeastern did cap that first one, but Garchomp, they've been moving really well so far, being able to peel for the team, making sure that Hedwig isn't able to just, get what they want, putting up very nice shields as well. So I think that Northeastern, they're going to be happy with that 36%, but unfortunately they weren't able to convert that into a fight win, because then he probably would have just been that flashpoint's a wrap, and now you got ZK coming in close towards that pulse bomb, but Vader goes down. Hedwig's getting a lot of these picks so early.
Yeah, you gotta be proactive and scout where the team's pushing from, because they can just, I guess, run you down like that. And Converse don't want to be giving up the cap just yet, but they don't have anybody to really contest besides the Domina that has to take shelter and just gets evicted from her own setup. So Northeastern are so aggressive with how they maneuver around these fights.
Yeah, and Converse really need to start checking Hedwig, because we've been talking about, Ducklin and a lot of the backline for Northeastern. Hedwig is starting to really pop some heads, and it's difficult for Converse to ever get a full team fight because these picks are coming in so early that there's not really a way back in. High Noon, I mean, you just...
Oh, the teleport! Oh my god, Vader. To be able to lock in like that when a team teleports in your face, crazy. Converse, it will deliver the biggest clapback Uno reverse that we've seen, and then they go to the point and are just gonna win it.
That was hella aura, though. Can't lie. Cannot lie. The TP High Noon is something that I love to see. Feels like it doesn't always work. Feels like it sometimes never works. But when it does, it looks fantastic. And Northeastern seemed like they had an advantage right there, but went for a home run play when all they really needed was a single. And Converse is going to take advantage of that. And now look at their ultimate economy. 4 in the bank for this next team fight.
A lot of good ultimates. Oh! And Orlando wasn't ready for the Suzu, wasn't in range. That is a big one. Or Konar, I should say, didn't have the Suzu in time, so Converse are in the driver's seat, but the point doesn't unlock for 10 seconds, so Northeastern not too emotionally damaged from this.
Yeah, I like Chicken is going to taxi the Cassidy back into this team fight, but I don't think it's going to be in time. Maybe it actually is going to be, so the pulse bomb works, but doesn't manage to really get the timeout.
Okay, Ducklin has been stunned, 1 HP for both DPS of Northeastern, and despite having the protections of a symmetric barrier and even a Sigma, Converse just kick in the teeth and ask for rent. But wait, even off the sound barrier, they've lost Garchomp. Frisco doesn't need DPS. This is a one-man army. Still hasn't been capped yet, and Converse have broken down the shield. Frisco is handling business, though. He's probably killed the entire team, at least a 4K in that fight.
Yeah, that is filthy from Frisco, because if that doesn't actually happen, the sound barrier, I think, from I Like Chicken didn't manage to find anything but the clutch-up play from the tank, not having to even use the gravitic flux, and it felt like they were in such a disadvantage with the ultimate economy, but still, Northeastern find a way.
Converse now swapped to the Reaper. Instead of playing flank central, they're just going to play this from front to back, so trying to shred down the shield, ideally, and now advancing. Vader got the speed. Got the violence. Can he actually deliver it, though? Because Hedwig got the punish onto a creeping Reaper, and Vader overclocking Northeastern to death. And Northeastern did manage to squeeze out 60%, and Frisco is still raid bossing. So every time I think Converse wins, they forget about the final boss of the point, which is Frisco. Oh my god. Domina who? Because this Sigma is out of this world. You got a tank matchup. ZK's not respecting that. Converse rotations coming in. Suzu use. Take a seat. Take a knee. Frisco does not respect you.
This is just an incredible Sigma for war. They need to start focusing down Frisco. Like, forget everyone else on the team in Northeastern. Like, this Sigma performance is fantastic right now. Converse need to start putting some pressure onto this tank, because this matchup between the Domina is just not working right now. Frisco is taking over the lobby.
ZK tried to do a flanking Reaper strat, got punished now on the Cassidy. So now Converse are losing control of this map after what Frisco just did to them. Now you got a turret into the mix, so you have to address that. It's getting shielded off. This is so annoying for Converse, and they're all sitting at half health. Garchomp is trying to provide some kind of anchoring here, but it's Northeastern that look comfortable. Kitsune Rush will be the name of the game for this first fight, unless Northeastern can just get a cap for free. No one is contesting because Converse don't have a Tracer anymore. So Converse will at least try to win the war, not just the fight, and Garchomp, much needed Suzu there. It was looking dangerous, but if anything, it's Northeastern that need an exit because they need to escape from Garchomp.
Frisco's still alive, and that's always worrying to me. Okay, now the fight's over. Now the fight's finally
Now the fight's over.
Yeah, now, whenever Frisco's still alive in these team fights, I'm like, ooh, I don't know. But as soon as Frisco goes down, now it's a complete wrap. But I mean, if you're Northeastern, you're like, okay, we got 40% of the point, and we have 5 ultimates in this next fight. I think that's a pretty decent win. I'm not good at math really that much, Jen. I know you have a master's, but I'm a caster, and for me, I feel like Northeastern is in a very good position here.
4 is better than 1, but Hedwig with the overclock. All the ducks are lined up when you got a gravitic flux too. Northeastern, though, haven't gotten the picks. Vader doesn't even need an overclock to best you. And Converse find themselves in the lead, but with all the kills, they should be trying to contest this, but Frisco is very threatening, I gotta say. At 50 HP, surely Converse just suffocate him, but they use, like, a ton of ultimates. The Kitsune Rush, Downbear, Deadeye, like, Converse are not kidding around.
Yeah, and I think if you're Converse, you need to get these picks because you don't want them to come back and recontest. They do have 20%, and they have a sound barrier to work with as well, so they definitely can just rush down and get onto this point to try and stall. You can see looking for potentially that pick. 91% taking out. They gotta get
the rollout. I like Chicken. I like overtimes too. And Chicken's gonna activate that sound barrier. You got an overtime being forced. Converse are gonna stay on the high ground. They could even give up the point cap. You don't need to be too stressed about that. And Converse more preoccupied with kills. ZK leads the fight yet again. That swap to the Cassidy has been huge for him and for Converse. But Northeastern, despite the 4v5, are sitting here not really knowing what to do next. They're so close to the cap and they've been denied, and they try to go back into cover to regenerate. And Converse, they strangle them to death. And now it's map point for Converse.
Yeah, and I actually really like to see Ducklin kind of go off this Torbjorn. And I like the idea that you have a lot of that spam to break through what you're seeing from this Domina, but now you actually go over to the Mei. I think in these enclosed areas is going to be really good, especially in this next fight. You have some spam potential as well, your own, and if you can just wall off the Domina and take her down early in these team fights, that's going to be great for Northeastern.
You got a Deadeye, get into position early, ready to face the music, but you got to face the Sigma shield as well, and Frisco, a lot more attention has been given to him after the miracle he pulled off in the very first round. Converse, though, already getting pushed off their high ground, and Garchomp gets completely ignored. Chance and Orlanta were getting shot at from all sides, and Garchomp didn't get the memo. So the mistakes here, the errors are getting exposed, and Northeastern, it wasn't for free. They've lost their Lucio, but you can afford to do that, because Ducklin and Hedwig are heading for the hills, and Converse are 6 feet under.
Yeah, now if you're Northeastern, you're feeling really good. The other team is going to be walking into your overclock, which is something that Sojourns love to have. We'll see if there's going to be Converse able to get towards those very key support ultimates in time for that overclock to go through. But we'll see Hedwig, I think, going to maybe be aggressive on the flank here, looking potentially for a headshot.
Oh, when it's Hedwig, you always got to be worried about that. Garchomp, though, is getting pinned against the wall, and Converse trying to support that or watch in the safety of cover. Kitsune Rush to support Converse, and Frisco slams down on this backline. They're in trouble. The sound barrier comes in late for Chance, and this is going to be their last Hail Mary to salvage this fight and to salvage this point, because it's already at 80%, and Northeastern have everything they need to send us into a final point. Converse are just going to have to give this one up. They keep losing bodies. They're going to use 2 ultimates. Converse, are you really sure about this one? They're doing everything they can, but Northeastern are not giving them an inch. This is crazy. We're going to point 5.
Yeah, Jen, we call those from Arlanta Ultimates of Hope, where you just hope and pray, and it's just desperation, and it comes back to bite you, because now you're even when it comes to Northeastern and Converse with those Kitsune rushes, but the big difference that I Like Chicken is going to have the sound barrier way ahead of Chance, and Northeastern also have control of these sightlines now with a Mei Blizzard. It's going to be so hard for Converse to walk in here.
It's the last shot. Let's see if Northeastern can go into the next round, or will the Converse playoffs end here? Vader has a heart attack. Hedwig, oh my god, yeah, that's all they have to write. It's just diff. And now Converse can't even escape. They're getting farmed from by Northeastern. And yeah, that'll be the point being capped. And to be able to defend with Mei is huge as well.
Yeah, I mean, the wall, you can see at the very end, they're doing so much work, and now they're just going to walk down the rest of these members and start ticking up, trying to get to that 100% to take them to the 2-0 in the rest of the bracket going forward. Ezekiel going over to the Tracer, so you talked about it a little bit earlier in the broadcast. Sigmas don't do well against those flankers. Now with Ezekiel going over to that Tracer, you have that ability to be that little mosquito and make the Sigma's life difficult.
He had such a good pulse bomb against Hedwig on this very map back when he was on Cassidy. Now it's a bit trickier to land that on a Sojourn, but a Blizzard to secure the point, and you got Domina frozen up with nowhere to go, and no help, no raft, and an Icicle. Ooh, chasing down Vader, who has to swim to safety, and with the speed from I Like Chicken. You're gonna be liking the spawn room very soon. 70%, one last fight, one last chance.
Oh my god, you got Orisa. You've done it. How did you do that?
I've done it.
You've channeled the spirit of Rich Rad and you've gotten Orisa onto a broadcast, but I mean, is that really going to be enough when you're walking into a Gravitic Flux and Hedwig, who's got this overclock?
Yeah, just fortify, bro, but also just touch the point, bro. Chance, gotta help speed things. Javelin spin, also some nice speed, and you got Vader up. That's your carry. You gotta save him. And Converse, where's your saving grace? You don't have heals, you don't have DPS, you don't even have Orisa, and that's where I start to crash out. Northeastern, make it Converse crash out with 100-0 series finisher. How about that one? Northeastern to the next round.
Northeastern with a 2-0 swiftly and clean. At the very end, they're able to win with their huge ultimate advantage. Frisco, I think, MVP of that map. Hedwig's going to get play of the game, but I'm giving it to Frisco. Frisco had so many clutches on that Sigma. Converse really had no idea what to do. This was an unreal pick from Hedwig. Vader was like, I'm about to hit a clip on everyone, and Hedwig says, not so fast, my friend. Takes out their head, and it feels like at that point just snuffed out the life of anything Converse was going to bring.
Man, Northeastern are just not dominant respecters at all. Hedwig, I'm gonna give him the MVP just for the aura kill on a ulting Vader. Because that was a big win condition for Converse. The amount of times that Vader has pulled through, and just the way that Converse were able to respond in a lot of ways, and Northeastern pulling a rabbit out of their hat, aka Sigma of Frisco 1v5ing. I just can't believe the resilience of this Northeastern team.
It's crazy. We've had 2 series, and we've just seen just unreal Sigma play from both of the tanks. Between Frisco and between Killswitch, I mean, these were just 2 unreal Sigma performances from them. Domina taking a little bit of a back seat, it feels like, to Sigma in these last 2 series. Maybe the disrespect is right, like you said.
Yeah, you just speed in, and almost like Northeastern played a Vendetta comp without, like, playing Vendetta. Like, they just, like speed ran it down. And Frisco, the way he plays Sigma is so crazy. Like, just the very first point where there's this ring around the Rosie, he's walking into the Domina shield. He's blocking off Domina's heals, and Frisco is throwing hands. Like, this is a very aggressive way to play Sigma, who's usually a space respecter, but that time he was a Domina disrespecter.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, for Northeastern going forward into this record, unfortunately we have to give our commiserations to Converse, but man, Sigma seems to be rising so heavily in priority, and I'm wondering if that's something that we're going to be seeing as we continue going forward into this bracket. Is that just, you know, a thing that's happening now that we're in the single eliminations and first to threes? Do we see Sigma continue to rise in that priority? It's going to be super interesting to see how the meta evolves over this weekend.
And we still have one more match to go, and also an interview with our winning team. And we're going to get to talk about the bracket, the journey as a player, the vibes, the orb, whatever it is. Let us know in the chat what you want to hear about. And we're going to throw to a break. When we get back, we'll have our interview. Don't go anywhere.
That's awesome.
All right, hey everybody, welcome back to Overwatch Collegiate Open. We have an interview with you with none other than Vendetta superstar Ducklin with us, who also played some Symmetra. Hey, congratulations! So amazing to meet you. Man, how
Thank
was
you.
that match? A 2-0 was swift.
That was a tough one. I think we're pretty nervous. We have both our supports are new to real collegiate, but it's great to get back to it. We're finally breaking ourselves out of the bubble after a year of being in there. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So walk me through a little bit about, integrating the new supports and kind of the comm structure a little bit about your team, because I know with like Vendetta, you need a lot of that communication, especially in shot calling. So kind of walk me through a little bit about who's taking the reins in that regard.
I'm calling a lot of it. Frisco will call. He'll say, "Take a turn now," and then I'll take a bubble. But the real turns, when we're going and we're full in, a lot of that is me. And so, it's a lot of it's off of my E-engage. It's great. But we have a lot of passion. It helps. We're all really good friends too. A lot of us have the same majors. So we know each other. We're friendly. The communication's going so well, even outside of Overwatch. If we all didn't play together, we'd still be friends.
Oh, and that's so
awesome.
great, because that's what helps. Yeah, that's what helps like a team get through like thick and thin, and especially an intense match like this when it's only a best of 3, it can be really crazy. And especially for you, you got your Vendetta band out. Feel targeted much like going into New Chunk City?
No.
How was playing Symmetra?
The first 2 TPs were gross, but my stats in both maps are terrible. Were you seeing that? I don't know if you ever held tab. I was negative both maps. I don't know. I feel like I'm talking and I'm doing the right things, but damn, man. I'm E-engaging and I'm dying instantly. And I'm just taking bad turns, I know. But oh my god, there are a lot of blunders. The nerves were getting to us. Oh, the using beat for nothing on Li Zhang, how awesome was that? We're having fun. We have a lot of fun. It's fun.
No,
I'm having fun.
Okay, Ducklin, I have a little bit of bad news. None of the stats were on stream. So what we can do in post is we can cut this part of the interview out completely, and it'll be like nothing happened. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know unless some cheeky person's gonna post the stats from like that. But you're totally fine. Okay, we'll hold up the Men in Black camera. It'll flash a light. No one's gonna remember a thing. No one's gonna remember a thing.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That
sounds
great.
good. Let's look at your next match coming up, because I'm sure that's going to be a doozy. Okay, there's Cumberland versus Texas A&M Maroon that are still facing off, waiting on results on that. Do you have any? Do you know those teams? Do you vibe with them? What do you think?
Oh yeah. Well, Sunless Fire on Texas A&M. Me and him are buddies. We're in the silly hero squad of people of the Flex DPS players that don't really play Tracer. I'm in that. He's in that. Oblivion. Nodi too, and who we're against, by the way. Cumberland did win in a nail biter on Watchpoint Gibraltar. I was watching Nodi stream. Love that guy. But we played them yesterday. We played Cumberland, or not yesterday, last week. We played Cumberland, ran them very close. A 2-1 loss, went to overtime all 3 maps. We're feeling very confident we can get the comeback on them. We are unranked in Alcra. They're up there. I think we can definitely punch it up. We've got this. We have this in the bag. We've got all of our nerves out, all of our sillies, our trolling finished during this match. We're ready for next. We've got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we believe in you. It's going to be best of 5 too. You got a little bit more wiggle room, and you're not just that Vendetta team. You showed us different looks. So being ban proof is so important, and having a good comm structure too. You seem so talkative and such a good leader, or part of that for the team. So big congratulations, and thank you for the interview.
Great. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ducklin.
Thank you. Have a good one, Ducklin. And that was Ducklin from Northeastern.
I would run through a wall for Ducklin. What? The
like
energy was
style.
so awesome from that interview. I feel like I could do anything if I listened to Ducklin.
I know, the vibes are so good, and they're all good friends.
So good. Yeah, that's kind of what you want from a collegiate team, right? Where, especially when you have this tournament that lasts, this entire weekend. The vibes have always got to be there. They've always got to be tight, and it seems like that team is definitely one to look out for as one of those potential Cinderellas that can make their way through the bracket.
Well, there's 2 other teams that are going to be facing off here for our last match of the day. We have St. Clair Saints versus the Bobcats. That's going to be a good one, and it's round of 16. It's best of 5 time. We're in it for the long run, and we hope we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Collegiate Open. This has been an amazing bracket so far, and we're just getting started. We're here now in the round of 16, and Kenobi, it's getting serious because it's best of 5 now.
Yeah, and it's the first match before we start going into the double elimination top 8, which is going to make things even more intense. So like you're like right at the finish line, just one more step, and you can maybe exhale a little bit as you go into the weekend. We can actually show you that updated bracket that we have. It looks like, because I think that like we're gonna have to kind of see how things have shaken out. Some of it probably not going to be too different than what we expected. Northwood, obviously, having that number 1 seed looking good, and Fisher looking very good, and trying to see if we have any like big upsets, around somewhere away. I guess you could consider maybe. No, it's looking pretty
good.
standard.
Yeah, I think the top teams to look at obviously are your Winthrops, your St. Clair, your Northwoods. There's a lot of stacked teams, and this is what's so amazing about Collegiate Overwatch and why it's blossomed so much more, is that a lot of the pros are going to college. That's awesome. And they're being part of these like super teams. So it's really cool to see these colleges also get on the map.
Yeah, but we're going to be focusing on the bottom right of this little bracket that we have here. Bryant Stratton versus St. Clair. I know you're going to have to keep your biases a little bit in check here, Lemon, because we have that team that we can see and start off with. Dill Ducks, you might know them as, in a different name, in a different era, in a different time, but here they are known simply as St. Clair College.
Yes, and this would give you hope that Team Canada this year at the Overwatch World Cup has a chance. And I look at someone especially like Noxious, who has been that superstar for Team Canada, especially as that young player who's coming up. And I've got to actually play on the same stage as him, even though he leaked something off the desktop and got in trouble, whatever. I am going to bring it up. Noxious, but you weren't a very good teammate, but you were a very good shooter, and that's why you're on St. Clair's team. Super nice guy, by the way. I'm just kidding around.
Super nice guy. Let's go ahead and just he's a really nice guy. We love Noxious, but this is now where we have a lot of these players that are very familiar, in that OWCS, in Faceit League. Tread is someone who I am very, back when we were doing a lot of the tier 2 stuff, me and you, a lot of these players were coming from those eras of Overwatch where we had Overwatch contenders and things like that. So very excited to see what this St. Clair Saints team can do. And they're up against a really good team on the opposite end in the Bryant Stratton Bobcats.
I'm so excited for this team because I got to cast a lot of them during the Faceit NA Masters scene, where you had Dreamland, that top 3 team, just locked in 3rd place. They had Dion, they had Manually, they had Nenwai, and this was such a solid team. Peace was also up there in terms of his team in the Faceit League. This is a very Vendetta-centric team, at least around Peace, I should say. And Manually could literally play anything. So I think Bobcats are going to be a serious competitor against St. Clair.
Yeah, very excited, and I hope this map goes the distance. And Peace, has the Vendetta hovered. I feel like Vendetta is a character that was made for Peace in particular, because Peace was someone who we all knew as a Genji player, and then now switched it over to the Vendetta. I think that it's definitely something that will probably be worth a ban, because I don't know if you want to mirror this team in a Vendetta matchup like that. So I think that, especially now that we go over to a best of 5 instead of a best of 3 that we had previously, gives you more options to do something different with the pick bans, which we actually do have ready and waiting for you.
Yeah, and Razor has been around the scene for so long, so to have him as your flex DPS for St. Clair Saints, you have so many options of what comps you can go to. So I'm wondering how versatile Bobcats are going to be, because now with the hero bans, it throws everything into a loop, and it's forcing a lot of adaptability. And Noxus has always been a fantastic hit scan, and definitely someone I hope gets to be on Team Canada this year, because they would actually have a chance if Noxus is on that team. And he's just been such a young player, and now he's really grown to be a superstar starter for a team like Bobcats. So we go to kick things off on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, we do, and it looks like it's going to be the ban of the Domina coming out, so that's one of the tank bans also. And the Tracer taken away, so we see Tracer, on these flanky types of maps, we've seen these kind of change a little bit, and we've been getting those DPS, the flankers really, especially if Sigma, D.Va, things like that, you can put the Tracer with the D.Va, or you can just run it yourself. It seems like it's something that's taken a bit of a priority in the ban phase.
And we just saw how annoying Domina was on Lijiang Tower when you get just to bunker up on Night Market. But hey, that really opens up. I don't know how good Dive's going to look without the Tracer, but this will be our first look at probably a Zarya Vendetta Dive composition. But St. Clair have Razor, who, like I said, has been around for so long. And he was, like, I feel like the first Genji player to be that good at the character. So St. Clair can always depend on Razor's versatility.
Yeah, it's funny that we kind of had two players here between Razor and between Peace who were just notorious for their Genjis when they were rising to prominence in Overwatch and how they played. Now we'll see if the Vendettas are going to be something that has kind of superseded that, because we've seen a little bit of Genji, but doesn't seem like it works as well.
It was
as
ugly.
Vendetta. Yeah, it was not looking the greatest.
You know what's not great? Being in Canada, where I don't even know what the weather is like over there. I haven't been there in a while, but St. Clair are having some power issues.
Oh, they're back.
So we're so back. We plugged back in the power. I almost had to throw it break, guys, but we can lock back in. I guess the weather is not that bad, so we get
just a tiny little blip. It's not a big deal, you know. Maybe like what is it called? Like a fuse went out or something, and you gotta go like flip it back on or something like that.
I don't know. I'm just a girl.
I don't know.
I'm just a girl. I don't know anything about that. I just plug it back in. I don't know. But you do need power for your PC, and you're gonna need all 5 of St. Clair Saints to try and take down the Bobcats. This is going to be an intense best of 5.
Yeah, and I think, again, like Domina being taken out, especially on Lijiang, I think it makes sense because you like to kind of have those, you know, ultimate, or those tanks that can kind of just stand stalwart, like that anchor, like you were talking about in our previous series, and really, especially with all the geometry that you have on the points that really are going to benefit you, just slamming someone into that wall and getting the stun and then potentially getting the pick. I think taking the Domina away is good, but then that does offer, like, you know, D.Va comes back into play, which is really good at dealing with something like a lot of these flankers, like Sojourn, for instance, hates having D.Vas just run at them and defense matrix all their damage. So I think that this is going to be interesting as a kind of a litmus test for going forward as to what we see in the pick ban phases going forward, because we'll probably see a lot of variations on Lijiang Tower and what these teams are going to run.
And especially in a best of 5, there's so many more maps you're going to have to go through, so many more bans you have to consider, and you can only ban a hero once in a series, and you can have those kind of protective bans, as you've kind of talked to me about in previous series, where you ban a tank just so that the other team doesn't ban the tank that you want. So that's also, it's fun to get to talk to your coach, which all the colleges have been really investing in their Overwatch teams as Overwatch Collegiate on the rise. So looks like almost all of St. Clair are back in the lobby, which I'm sure just having your power go out is a stressful experience.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know what? It's fun to talk to your coach, and it's also fun to talk to you, chat. You know, we're just making sure everything's good. You know, we talked about it right before that double elimination. We want to make sure everything is ready. We want to make sure also you're getting your drops.
Oh,
big
true,
deal.
drops.
Big deal. That's a big deal. You know, actually, we're doing kind of you a favor at this point, if you really think about it. I think that you know, let's start changing the narrative on that a little bit.
And I already know every time there's drops is how long is the show going on for? Well, we have one best of 5, guys, so at least you're looking at another hour. So farm those drops up while you can. We got nameplates, we got icons, we got sprays. So you got to get these exclusive drops right here. And tomorrow, we'll be continuing this bracket as well, all up until Sunday, where we'll conclude the Overwatch Collegiate playoffs. This has been amazing because, I mean, Collegiate got so much more popular, especially when all the pros, former pros, current pros are getting involved. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and now it's like a little bit open where you have like some of these teams, you know, that haven't been, you know, aren't competing in Overwatch anymore. You have them like these other teams, like St. Clair College is a team that I think has really risen to prominence. You know, they used to only really finish top 30 a lot of the time. That's where I was thinking of them as a team, and then now they're climbing up, getting these top performances. I think they got second actually recently in a tournament. So this team, I mean, definitely performing well. I think also the Bobcats are another team that really, you know, kind of speaks to the idea of collegiate, where you can have this program that just starts, you know, a bit shaky, but you get progressively better and better and better, and keep building up these players, building up that synergy, and eventually you can get to an 11 seed going into a tournament like this.
I feel like Bobcats are really that next generation of top talent. And if they're already considered top talent around the tier 2, but with that third place that Dreamland got in the Masters League, they've qualified to the OWCS Stage 1 qualifier in phase to whatever, it's a mouthful, but they're on their way up to that path to pro. So excited to see how Bobcats can do in a collegiate playoff against a super team of St. Clair Saints.
It just feel like it's very much old versus new, and I want to, I don't want to be mean to the St. Clair players, but let's be honest, guys. Okay, you've been doing this for a really long time. A lot of you have been doing it for a really long time. Razor is doing it for a very long time. I know our friend Hurix very, very familiar with Razor as a player, and I'm excited to see kind of how these two are going to be matching up, especially like we talked about. We have the Razor versus the Peace Duel, both prolific Genji players, now potentially on Vendetta, especially because there is no Vendetta ban in this first map that we have on Lijiang Tower, where Vendetta is very playable.
I'm just stoked that St. Clair got their power on that fast.
Yeah, when can I get
usually
it
that just takes you out. Also, it's March, where thanks to global warming, it's not as wintry in March anymore. So I really don't know what's hindering Canada right now. But St. Clair, nothing will hinder them anymore.
Over there, unless it's the summer, it's just like snow all the time.
True, dude. It used to snow up until April back in my day, which is
that sounds like
totally not. I mean, it's totally not long.
It snowed a lot, It snowed really bad at least on the East Coast where I am, towards like New England, and I would like to have some words with Puxatawny Phil for giving us 6 more weeks of winter, because I got hit by 2 blizzards after that, and I'm not the biggest fan of 2 blizzards. I'm not the biggest fan of shoveling 20 inches of snow. It's great cardio, great workout.
All right. As of March 13th, the weather at St. Clair College is cloudy with high chances of rain. So
well, there you go. And it
is 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 13 degrees Celsius. All right, back to you, Kenobi, with the news.
Okay, it looks like we have here Tread gonna be on the signature Zarya, and then we have a Ramatra on the other side. The first Ramatra I think that we've seen so far in this day of Overwatch in the May. No, that's not May. Why did I think that was May? What's wrong with me? Back to you, Jen.
It's okay. Okay, well, we're going to replace our newscaster very soon. It is daytime here at Lijiang Tower Gardens. I'm pretty excited. The Vendetta. Razor is also wearing the emo skin for Vendetta, so it's very much matching edgelord energy. Now, you have, I guess, Brian and Stratton, the Bobcats. They're kind of stuck at this choke point, not really able to brawl them through. Oh. Razor is finding the bottom of the map. Hey, traded though. That's worth it, because now the Bobcats don't have a tank.
But that's like we were talking about, the matchup between Peace and Razor. Who's going to get the edge of that one? It looks like at the start it was Peace, but it didn't really matter too much, as Razor did so much damage to Dion on that Ramatra that it completely took Dion out of the fight. And now it's St. Clair who have control, and this is where Noxious wants to be, just firing down these close angles and getting that rail shot early.
Oh god. Okay, glad he's brought back up the full. Dion put his shoes on and just sprinted out of that fight. So the Bobcats don't have a lot of space to work towards. They're really trying to get inside of the safety of this dojo, and then you just have Redex coming around, booping people off the map. This is a statement from St. Clair, really shutting the door on this fight.
Yeah, Redx, really good boop there. It completely turns that fight off of its head. And I'm really liking what they're doing and how aggressive St. Clair is playing, giving a lot of sustainability to Noxious, who is able to just put out so much more damage. Manually is able to put down damage in terms of just consistent pressure, but that burst potential that you get from the Sojourn is just a complete different beast.
First wave of ultimates, Kitsune Rush, the big win condition for the Bobcats to try and get into this map because they've been shut out. Now they get to actually take a glimpse of the objective, and Dion is already at half health. He has to take a second, so Razor steps forward off the Zarya bubble and gets blasted in the face by Manually. This is no joke. St. Clair needs to escape. Oh, jeez. No, Redex, not like this. You were the chosen one.
I mean, it's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows as a Lucio player. You get one fight, you get a great boop off, you win the fight for your team, and then the next you're Ajaxing. And it's just unfortunate for St. Clair and their ultimate economy, because they were having so much control, and now it's a bit scary because they don't have the support ultimates to work with. Nenwai, she's coming up towards that sound barrier, so if you're Brian Stratton, you're feeling pretty good.
Feeling good. Bobcats do have to make up for this gap in the score. Now you just want to hold that barrier for the grab. Here comes Razor from the top rope, right on top of this tank. Dion at half health. Barrier just in time from Nenwai. She saves the day, but can the Bobcats save the fight? They are just about even at a 4 versus 3, though, as Tread is shredded down, and the Bobcats just follow through on wherever peace brings them, and Redux finds the bottom of the map, and the Bobcats will find themselves in an equal lead soon.
I'm just not sure about that target selection from St. Clair. It means they use so many ultimates onto Dion in particular, and Ramatra is a character that can just cross his arms and be too angry to die. And that's exactly what happened. They weren't able to secure the pick onto the tank, and then it just fell apart from there. And St. Clair need to come back into this one with some new ideas.
Dion's gonna have to use the Annihilation without a sound barrier, so a lot of attention needs to go into him and when he decides to step into the arena. But it's St. Clair that have the ball in their court. I mean, the Bobcats have the point control, but Vendetta unleashing peace, wants violence, really wanted to chase down the opposite Vendetta, knows Razor can be a lethal problem. Has managed to separate him from the flock, but time is ticking down. It's 90%, so the trigger's being pulled from the Bobcats, but Barrier, Redux, just in time, boops off too, and the Bobcats have no support. They have no healing. There's no chance they win this fight, and Manually can only go down with a scream. So St. Clair have one last chance to take the round.
An expensive fight for both of these teams, but St. Clair is able to win it at the very end and now ticking up towards that 8%. This is last fight from both of them. Razor a little bit closer towards that very key ultimate. I don't think Tread is close enough at all, but Nenwai, she's got the sound barrier relatively soon. Ooh, gets taken down solo. I was so scared, but that healing should be enough for the sound barrier, and there it is.
Might need to just beat through the choke, especially when Dion gets low. This is the last chance for the Bobcats, and they need to take the point and the fight towards the objective. And just behind Peace, as sharp as ever, St. Clair did not stand a chance. They tried to put up the wall, and the Bobcats just tore it all down. Maybe one last touch, and it's from Razor, and next will be the Lucio. But this is just delaying the inevitable, as Bobcats had to come back from a, 0 to 50 kind of deficit, where St. Clair made it so hard to retake back in, but it's Bobcats that sustained at the end.
I really do love what I saw from Brian Stratton there at the very end, where they knew they had the sound barrier, and if you're Peace and you're a Vendetta player, you're feeling fantastic when you just get layered with all of that extra health. You can just move forward. As let's take a little bit look at the stats right now. We did have that unfortunate sound barrier, that unfortunate Ajax from Red X, but Razor putting out some decent damage with, and also KDA looking pretty decent as well.
Bobcats did just steal away the first round, and now we go to Night Market, where that bunker style is going to be ever so important, especially who can defend, because that's where your hit scans are going to do all the talking. Noxus on that Sojourn. It's really what he was known for, that Cassidy, that Ashe, and going up against Manually, who's been such a meta-proof player himself. Bobcats will be on the point first with a Ramatra shield up, and with a Zarya, you can be susceptible to pokes. You gotta manage your resources carefully. As they look towards Razor, the dive back in. He got a bubble just barely in time, thanks to Tread. And he got a headshot onto a Kiriko. You can't ask for a better pick than that. So that's the go sign for St. Clair, as long as they watch for any Vendetta flanks and great marking and communication from St. Clair to expect that Peace dive.
Great play around the sightlines as well, and around the burst damage from Noxus, which is really what's going to be the difference maker, because when you have Manually on this MRET, it's a little bit more of that sustained damage, but again, the burst of Noxus, it needs to hit Pater for this team of St. Clair to win these fights.
Now in a defending position, St. Clair will have to play with their spacing carefully. Remember, you only have so many Zarya bubbles. So many chances to take a swing at the Bobcats, and there is the advance here from Razor. So are we gonna fall back? Suzu used St. Clair still in a dominating position. Dion, armor cracked, half health. St. Clair smell blood in the water, and they want those kills bad because they don't want a chance for Bobcats to get back into this fight. And with Dion down, you feel pretty secure that without a tank, there's nothing to really carry this Bobcats team. And Tread is now farming up to a Graviton Surge, so halfway to getting the job done.
And I mean, Brian and Shrine might have the advantage when it comes to just sustained damage, but they aren't converting that into picks, which they really need to do. Peace has been kind of put on a leash a little bit right now, been checked a lot with what we've been seeing, as you can see in the difference of the ultimate charges between them and between Razor.
Oh, Noxus just trying to fire upon the Bobcats that are trapped in a Graviton Surge. The NY Soundbearer bought them enough time, and it's actually 4 versus 4. So both teams believe they have a shot at a Kitsune Rush to try and lead Bobcats towards the point, but they're getting poked down on their pathing. And it's gonna feel impossible when you lose on that dive prowess without that Vendetta at 80% plus. Those St. Clair just have to hold on a little bit longer, and they're chasing the Bobcats to spawn. Oh, jeez, this is disrespectful. Bobcats have a few more seconds to touch, but they don't even have their full 5.
Yeah, Annihilation just there to survive as much as Dion could, and I don't even know if there's a way back into this one. And you're walking into just this happening right now. Vendetta ultimate slices the ground, but it's going to be taken out for the rest of this team of Brian and Stratton. They're going to have to go back to base. We're going to have a 1-1.
And we're gonna have Control Center on the menu next. So man, this Zarya Vendetta comp from St. Clair is some scary stuff. Once they got the ball rolling, it just turned into an avalanche. And Bobcats, it was just kind of a back and forth, like a tug of war in terms of where the fight was taking place. And Bobcats didn't have the in that they had back when they played on Gardens.
This is going to be a really good map, though, for Dion in particular and for Brian and Shrine, because the way that you can use Ramatra in these enclosed areas is going to be so much nicer. It's going to make Razor's life a little bit more difficult because you do have to be worried about those vortexes, you slowing you down, pulling you into the ground. We'll see how Dion's going to be able to maneuver, because Dion is going to be incredibly important for this map.
No bubbles to support Peace, though, just like in the last round. We'll see if that will be the big difference maker. And also the Graviton Surge from Tread was just more impactful than an Annihilation that isn't the setup ultimate you think it is. At least takes more investment, and St. Clair would rather invest into having some server control so you can access that backline a bit easier, as Bobcat's gonna counter position against it, throw the shield in St. Clair's face, force him to dance around this fight, while the Bobcats wait for this Razor dive and try to chunk him down before he does too much damage. Razor still lives on. That's incredible support from Alex, but St. Clair need a break, they need a breather. They still haven't lost a single player. Bobcats narrowly dodging death themselves manually will also space out, but with server control for St. Clair, they can take pot shots at your backline. St. Clair got the first blood, and off that 5 versus 4, they're running the Bobcats down.
And Tread is so super omega charged right now. It's just too much damage for Brian Sharon to work with, and if Peace is not able to convert those kills, it's just going to be Tread who is going to put the entirety of Brian and Shrine into a microwave with how much they're getting charged. Look at Tread. I mean, 72% towards a Graviton Surge, and look at all the rest of the ultimates from St. Clair. Both of their support ultimates coming up way ahead of Brian and Shrine in this next fight.
That could be what the difference maker, the Kitsune Rush. You just know how aggressive St. Clair can be, but they've been around the game for so long, they just know the right time to strike, and it is now. Kitsune Rush, the bubble, the full commit, and then the step back. As soon as you see the Nenwai Soundbear and Kitsune Rush matched by the Bobcats. But without Dion, it's really the DPS that have to hold their own, and you don't have someone to hold the space. So the Bobcats are getting hunted like prey, and Peace can't take anyone down with them. So St. Clair remain on top.
And I mean, that's one of the worst feelings in Overwatch, when you use both your support ultimates and you lose the fight, and they don't even have to use their Soundbearer as well, as Razor's going in really aggressive here. Soundbearer use. St. Clair want this fight win right now.
Maybe a miscomm. They thought Razor was maybe full committing in, and St. Clair got to make the most of this fight, and they got the Bobcats to use Annihilation, to use a ton of ultimates. It's netted them 1 kill. Tread throws out the Graviton Surge. Ready or not, here comes St. Clair. They barely have any damage, though, as Noxus is the only one still alive in that department. Bobcats, though, fighting tooth and nail, and this is coming down to the map win at 80% clutch for St. Clair. They're just on fire, and Bobcats tried to put them out, and they're there's just not going to be anyone left to touch if Dion goes down. Last maybe chance for a hurrah from the Bobcat, the Jetpack Cat, to go and touch the point. But this is all wrapped up. St. Clair know exactly where you're coming from. One overtime being pronto from Nenwai on the Jetpack Cat. It could be a lot of stall here as Razor looks to deny and shut this down for good. The emergency Doomfist is having some presence, and Razor is cutting everyone's legs off. Bobcats aren't standing much of a chance. They are just, well, delaying as much as possible. But with the sound barrier, that's the nail in the coffin and the kiss of death. St. Clair take map 1.
St. Clair, I mean, Brian and Trent make him work for it in a lot of those maps, but St. Clair in that third one really just had control of the game by the scruff of the neck for pretty much the entirety of it. The way that they switched, and then I think their ultimate economy usage was a lot more clean from that first map going into the second and into the third one. But Brian and Trent, I mean, definitely look like they're up to the task to match up against St. Clair pretty well.
Yeah, and manually it's just showing us the potential of the Emre. And like I said, a very meta-proof player has just been always a standout to me when it came to Dreamland and the Face It games. Just being able to pull out any hit scan and to be able to pick up the new hero sometimes can throw teams for a loop, but St. Clair is stuck to what has been meta and around the Vendetta, and Razor fitting into that role perfectly. Really knows how to get in and get out, and even when St. Clair, yeah, we don't talk about that one, even when St. Clair weren't ready for a fight, they made the most out of it.
Yeah, and I wonder, you know, it was so interesting that we saw the matchup of the Ramatra versus the Zarya, where I feel like the sustained damage from the Emre, it definitely is good because you can deal with Tread, and Tread isn't able to kind of just like stand there as the Zarya. But if you don't convert that damage into fight wins and into picks, that means Tread is just going to be sitting at 100 charge for the entirety of the round. And I mean, as good as Ramatra can kind of be into Zarya in some of these situations, the rest of the team isn't going to be able to survive against a 100 charge Zarya.
And maybe the Ramatra can be more useful on maybe other game types where you need a bit more staying power, someone who can throw up a shield and just hold the space maybe longer than a Zarya can. Because with enough pressure, Zarya is going to crack like an egg. She only has so many bubbles and usually doesn't want to use them on herself if she can help it. She's more of an enabler, and sometimes she can't hold space as much as someone who has a shield, like a Ramatra. So maybe if we go something like a Shambali, like I would say the Ramatra would be stronger than the Zarya, but all depends on execution and what the DPS do.
Yeah, like we could, Domino's also something that we didn't see because it was banned, but I think that that's definitely something, anything that those kind of those anchor tanks that can stand there and just put up that shield like you were mentioning and really let the damage come through. Because again, and I think there's also potential for, just banning the Zarya altogether, because I think that that's definitely something that was the difference maker, especially in that last map that we saw. The Graviton surges were just so huge. The amount of damage that Tread was putting out, and Tread is a very prolific tank player, so giving Tread comfort is probably not something that you want to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if as we go into map 2 and if we go into map 3, if we see Zarya get taken out.
And it's Bobcats that get to pick our next map, and there are so many to choose from, but I'm feeling like stylistically both these teams like the same compositions. It's maybe that difference of tank, like we said we were discussing. Although if we get to see Jetpack Cat, I'm just super excited.
It seems like it's just a stall bot.
Yeah, we saw it on our first series on like Ilios Ruins, but it killed like a couple things, but I still don't know the point.
All, but that's neither here
nor there.
You also haven't seen any Mizuki, which I understand because I think Mizuki's really fun in solo queue. I don't think Mizuki's very good at all in competitive setting. I think Mizuki is. I think Mizuki, love the design, love everything about Mizuki that I've seen. That ultimate might just need to be reworked already. We might need something else to help Mizuki back into this. Or some number changes because, oh boy, do you just love playing Lucio Kiriko instead of playing Mizuki right now?
I just was worried about when Jetpack Cat came out because people were flying around with Bastions and Deadeyes, and I'm like, is this my new hell?
Bobs.
Is this meta?
Yeah.
Or Bob, I mean, I don't even know what else, but
The flying Bob was really fun. I played a couple of games where it was like, I just pick up I'm gonna throw my Bob out, just pick it up and just like an AC 130 chopper gunner, just it's just like everybody.
Get your kill streaks going.
Yeah, everybody's gone. So I think that was, but I mean they did nerf a lot of. I mean Jetpack had some heavy like baseball bat style nerfs to some of the perks and to some of the damage numbers and healing numbers that we saw, which is probably why it's not as prevalent as it was on release. But Domina still seems pretty good. We're seeing some Emre, which I think is again. One of the things I've been seeing a lot of is kind of like an Emre matchup versus a Sojourn matchup, and the big thing that I keep saying is that when you have the Emre instead, that sustained damage is there. You have a lot of spam, but if you have someone on the other side like Noxious, who is as good as they are on Sojourn, and you're hitting those burst damage rails, it's a little bit harder to keep up.
I'm just looking at the bracket because we're in now the round 2 of playoffs, and St. Clair had to 2-0 Georgia State to get here. The Bobcats had to take out CSULB Gold. That's a mouthful. But looking at round 2, oh my god, we have Winthrop Academy versus Fisher Navy. And that's an elimination match, okay? Winthrop have Kaluge, Infected, Liar, Rack Attack, Ultraviolet, like a lot of the goats. Fisher have a ton of, I guess, the next gen goats like Riker, Narwhal, Grapes. And then they have like the old school people like Hydron. So we'll update you guys on the bracket when we get results. We're also waiting for the map 2 to get picked. We don't do Yapper Watch because we want to. So we are waiting to see what the Bobcats want to go to. And hey, New Junk City.
New Junks? Okay. I mean, this is fine. I think that like also Sojourn is the. I mean, this I'm 99% sure this is a ban from. This is the ban from St. Clair. Or no, this is the ban from Brian and Stratton, where they just want to get rid of Noxious on the hit scan, which I understand. It could also be the other way around, because I'm not sure. I think that this is... It was St. Clair banned. Yeah, okay. St. Clair actually banned Kirko. Yeah, Bobcats banned Sojourn. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're just getting all our eggs in a row.
Yeah, so it's cool that there's other hit scans to talk about, right? Like Sojourn, you're out of Sojourn jail, enter Freya, enter Emre, which that's mostly what Manuel's been rocking with these days. So Noxus can play literally any hit scan, so I don't expect that to hinder them. I think the Cassidy could be solid but I'm worried about Dion just walking you down, so...
Yeah, I think that like, I think a Cassidy is where I think of when I think of the fact that there is going to be no Sojourn or Emre. I mean, now we could just see Emre mirror, which I think is also a possibility. We've seen it previously. I think that in these enclosed areas, it does do a pretty decent job as well, with the nades, with just your outright damage output. So I think that this is pretty decent, I think, in terms of what we're seeing from the ban phase and what we're seeing from these teams talking in terms of what they probably want from their coaches.
And just, correcting myself, that's not the main Fisher squad, that is the Fisher Navy squad. So not to freak out any Fisher fans on the Winthrop match, but we'll still update you guys on the results of this bracket. There is a ton of matches. This is now the round of 16, y'all. We're in a best of 5. There's no more kidding around, and we have some domino. We've been waiting for this day.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this, and, if you're waiting... In Touch Credit Union can boost your KD ratio, but we can help you level up your financial game. Visit itcu.org to learn more. Federally insured by NCUA. As we get back into this right now, onto Junkertown, or New Junk City. I haven't seen a Junkertown in years, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I feel like this is just now the new Junkertown map, where when I think about anything Junker, it's this map. I don't think I've ever seen Junkertown. I don't remember the last time I looked at a Junkertown.
Also, Brig and Juno. So that's cool. That's a cool lineup. Yeah, because you're not expecting to try and engage into them, but rather peel. And the Brig usually pairs up nicely with a flanker, like someone like Peace, who's going to be needing those health packs as much as possible. But Brian is trying losing out on this speed. Is maybe gonna be a hindrance, but as St. Clair step up with their mitts out, you got the Bobcats punishing them every step of the way. It is 4v4, but St. Clair in a much less healthy position, trying to rally around Alex, and then the Bobcats can just play around the rally of Nenwai, so they're gonna get the point first.
I mean, we have Tread, who's a very prolific D.Va player, and this is what I'm worried about a little bit with this DPS matchup, and now that D.Va has been brought back in, is you look at all of the heroes of Brian and Stratton, as a diva just walks up at you and micro missiles, you get executed. Like this is we've been on Tread POV for about a minute, and it's just been Tread hitting shift, hitting micro missiles, and killing everything. There's nothing like there's no high level analysis for this. This is just this is how good Diva is at the current moment, and Tread, who is a very prolific Diva player, is firing on all cylinders.
They did give up 56% though, so we still need to take this next fight to be in a comfortable position. And when you have Alex with the Matrix, you can kind of just hose down the competition, but you got to be able to mark where they're coming from, which is not the doorway they're expecting. There's kind of a poke exchange as Tread is going to anchor on the point and not let any pesky vendettas accidentally flip it while you're not looking. St. Clair about to flip the lead and manually wants to prevent that. Catches Noxus midair, gets the finishing blow. St. Clair are going to go into cover, and the Bobcats, this would be the moment to try and pressure the points. So they do. They'll send Dion and the rest to try and cap as a blizzard from Razor is sent to punish this tank. So despite the Bobcats getting the cap, it's St. Clair that win the war.
Yeah, but I mean, this is going to be good for Brian and Shrine if they can continue to get it out as much as possible, because I think they will get one last recontest. It's going to be very close at 74 on the other way around. They did have to commit that Juno orbital strike or orbital right for it, but St. Clair, I mean, have a sound barrier, and I think they actually want to go aggressive. They're going to try and stop him at the door here, but now I think Brian and Shrine most likely will not even try to get back onto this point.
Yeah, St. Clair, man, they really threw a Hail Mary with that blizzard. I was worried, but perfectly freezing Dion. And a tank pick is almost just as good as a support pick these days. So St. Clair with a map advantage and a point advantage will try to outrace the Bobcats to the next one.
Yeah, but there is an ultimate advantage that we see from Brian and Stratton right there. So they are going to have that rally to go a little bit aggressive. But that sound barrier, it feels like it's the ultimate, you know, ultimate that you can have that really nullifies things when it comes to being at such an ultimate disadvantage.
Okay, Razor gets the icicle. That rings true. And the Bobcats maybe just wait to see if they can cap it. If St. Clair, how passive they want to be about this. There's going to be a cap starting for St. Clair, and the Bobcats are going to pop rally, hoping that their last player is around the corner. Redux pops the sound barrier second. That's a later advantage to work with. Amp Matrix, though, from St. Clair. They're just poking and prodding at the Bobcats, but they won't be able to use that ultimate if Peace gets in their face. No one has still capped the point, by the way. I think Bobcats are in a position behind the domino wall to do so. They will confirm that cap. St. Clair really stuck when Tread's not in mech either.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things where it's like, if Tread isn't able to get the value of just running people down on the Diva, then you have Brian and Shrine who are going to be in a much better situation. Like they have been, they've been doing a really good job peeling Tread away from those squishy members, specifically Dion, who has kind of adjusted their playstyle. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Brian and Shrine here on the second flashpoint.
Now just letting manually try to find these pigs, but it's Noxus with the ultimate, but the wall had it coming, okay? It looked at him funny, but still the Bobcats are going to respect this space and lay low behind the domino wall. It has some cracks in it. Manually will still find a crack in your head. Noxus gets bested by Manually, whips out the ult second, and the Bobcats have gotten this already to 80%. This is St. Clair's last chance, and they just lost Razor. A huge pick for Dion, and St. Clair would have to force a 4v5 or just save it for the next one, and we're gonna have ourselves a tie New Junk City.
Going to see where the next flashpoint is going to be, because it does make a difference, I think, with the difference in compositions that we have from both of these teams, especially where they like enclosed areas or not enclosed areas. It does make a little bit of difference, especially now that you've got a Blizzard on the other side. So if this is in a very enclosed fighting area, Blizzard gets a lot of value, Diva gets a lot of value because you don't have to spend as much of your resources to get to the other side.
Okay, St. Clair managed to get through the choke point. That could have been dangerous. Manually plays from so far away to try and access the ace of the Bobcats is going to be difficult for St. Clair. Do have an Amp Matrix. They can simply use that to zone off, but Razor already has to pop the ice block, so can't be as aggressive. But I think St. Clair could still be aggressive after that pick from Noxus, especially onto one of the supports. A rally has to be popped from Nenwai. She wants to salvage the fight, but the Blizzard thrown into the mix just throws a big wrench into the Bobcats' plans to salvage that fight. And St. Clair will be in the driver's seat.
I mean, Tread has ultimate faith in the supports, that like the faith I don't have in LaFawn when LaFawn supports me. But like the way that Tread will just play so aggressive, will be waiting for a sound barrier, an immortality field always, knowing that the supports have his back. I mean, really makes this diva go at such a higher clip than maybe normally.
Oh, and this Diva's getting ignored, and Tread actually just gets chunked down. The bomb comes out, and the Bobcats have the fight cover, and someone who has the most cover doesn't get the umbrella out in time. Dion is a victim, and at St. Clair being at 70%, this is dangerous. And now Noxus, the skies are free. And he's just like a hawk. He's going after the backline. He's coming after the kids and the paycheck too. The Bobcats have to escape. They can't afford to lose anybody else. And I don't think Noxus is going to give you a chance, but Dion will not cower. You need a touch ASAP if you're the Bobcats, and they managed to get someone there in time. Manuelly's going to try a retake with the ult, but no one's touching the point. So St. Clair will go to that point.
Yeah, I think that's just a really desperate ult from Manually, one I would like to have back if I'm being super nitpicky there, because you would have had such a huge ultimate advantage. Nothing really St. Clair would have been able to do, would have been able to deal with that Emre ultimate that you would have had, and then you would have been able to keep your other ones, cycle them effectively, and get yourself to 2-2. But now, it's all St. Clair who are in the driver's seat.
No ultimates besides that Amp Matrix. It's probably hard to find a good position when Bobcats are attacking you from all angles, all sides. The Amp Matrix comes out. The Bobcats rely on that Dion shield. The Vendetta powers up. P slams down and will get St. Clair to scatter, maybe away from their ultimate, but they re-emerge and they're looking to cap. The Bobcats are going to play a tug of war and now have to find an escape from the Razor Blizzard that has not frozen anyone. The Bobcats, though, can always rely on Dio. And though Razor is ice blocking, he's not going to be impactful this fight. The Bobcats get walled into a self-destruct. That's a combo you don't see every day. The saving grace, though, is these DPS from the Bobcats. Piece with a double, Manually with the other two. And that'll secure the retake for the Bobcats.
Okay, I also want to know, I'm 99% sure Dion stunned Razor out of the Blizzard by hitting them into a wall with the push. Because I didn't see the Blizzard actually go off or freeze anyone, so I think that's what happened. And if so, incredible clutch play from Dion, because if Dion's not in that fight is completely ruined. And now we're up and taking it about to that 30% for Brian and Stratton. Look at them with the support ultimate advantage that they have. They're sitting pretty.
Yeah, the lead has now swapped over. Crota, the orbital ray, ready, and just needs a good lineup on this lane. The sound barrier used from Redux, but Noxus was not beneficial to that, but Noxus still was taking his 1v1 against Manually, a 5v4 St. Clair. And now just go and flip the point here very soon. They have the advantage. They just tried to get away from the Juno ultimate. And at 80%, the Bobcats could be forcing game 5, or a 0.5, I should say. Now Peace already poked down. St. Clair just focusing it all on Dion, who wants to anchor up. Getting the Bobcats to 99% is huge. And Razor through the Blizzard just to make sure they could secure that flip before Bobcats regain some footing. And Noxus is setting them to the grave on top of that.
But they have to use so much, and they had to use the Blizzard, they have to use the Emre ult as well, both their support ultimates. And you know, even if you're going to come back here and you're going to lose this next fight, if you're Brian Tren, you have one more shot at that, and by that time you probably have your support ultimates back up. But actually they're coming in relatively slow, so this is going to be last fight, and Tread does have that secondary life with the self-destruct.
Oh, that's why Tread's being aggressive. He gets stunned, and he's trying to force those cooldowns, and even a Maywall comes up for Razor to help Tread, and he still doesn't have the self-destruct being forced, but just overwhelming Manually is the start of something good. You've isolated, no, the almost the rally coming out there from Nenwai. Needs to survive this fight, absolutely. St. Clair is so low, and Noxus and Tread are just taking over. The Juno gets put in a locker, and it's all up to Dion. And manually is just now back into this fight. 99 to 99. St. Clair don't have enough gas in this tank. The self-destruct gets forced. Tread is back into the mech. And Bobcats cannot contest. St. Clair on series point.
Nenwai, that was so heartbreaking. 1% away from the rally. Overwatch, a game of second and inches, and unfortunately Nenwai was not able to get that last bit of damage. But it's like what I talked about at the start of the map. The amount of pressure that you can exude with the D.Va is just absolutely absurd onto these squishy members of Brian Stratton.
I'm just surprised that a Lucio plus Kiri comp, a support line, a support line that wasn't Lucio Kiri actually did fairly well. Like, this almost could have went to a 0.5, and Juno Brig is not a support line you see every day, but they managed to kind of circumvent a lot of the pressure of a team that has speed and what they did to Bobcats.
Yeah, I mean, they made it really close, and even in that last one, a few clutch, like if Nenwai is able to get that sound or get that rally, it looks completely different. So really, and I mean, it feels like this is the theme so far in these last two matches, is that it's so close between Brian Stratton and St. Clair, but there's just that little bit of extra oomph that I'm seeing from St. Clair that's turning these fights in their favor.
That was as close as it gets, and it's a best of 5, folks, so we still got more maps to go, and St. Clair looking to advance beyond the round of 16 here very soon, unless the Bobcats have a special map up their sleeve. But like I said, both these teams seem to have matched their styles of around the Vendettas, and Razor kind of throwing out the Mei was really interesting to try and maybe isolate any divers that were to come in from the Bobcats.
I think Mei is really good against Domina in particular, because Wall screws Domina so hard, and I think Blizzard is also really good, because a lot of the time what I've been seeing just when Maze have Blizzard, they throw it directly at the Domina, put a wall behind the Domina, and Domina instantly dies. So I think that that's one of the things that has been very interesting to me, is that kind of how people are using Mei as a way to counter this Domina more so than anything else in the tank matchup. And I wonder, as we go into our third map, which is now match point for Brian and Stratton, and now that they've also had serve broken on them, I mean, this is going to be really difficult in terms of what to pick here. I think that D.Va hasn't already been banned. No, we had Domina the first map, and then we had, what did we just have banned? Kiriko and Sojourn. So D.Va could get banned.
We'll have it here in a second. Yeah.
I think D.Va could get banned, and I think D.Va honestly should get banned. Like the way Tread played that, I think we just get rid of D.Va. I don't want to see D.Va right now. As I know you're a big D.Va fan, Jen, but that
depends the map. Yeah.
That hero is very good. That hero is very, very good, and I'm worried about it continuing to stay.
I think D.Va's really solid on Control and Control Junior, aka Flashpoint, but outside of that, it really is map dependent. And as D.Va was one of my first mains, how far she can dive really can limit her efficiency on a lot of big maps. So Tread, though, there's so many ban targets to consider going forward. Vendetta easily. I think Razor and Peace went back and forth. If anything, I wonder if St. Clair considered banning the M-Ray, just because manually I think was the one that could have turned around a lot of fights for the Bobcats.
Yeah, M-Ray would be an interesting ban. And then the other thing about the M-Ray ban would be that it takes away the other DPS bans, so I think that would just be very much a targeted ban specifically. I think that what you said about the D.Va was, we actually just saw it realistically in that map that we, I like that you called it Junior Control, but the maps the points where we did see St. Clair struggle were those like longer maps where you have to use the D.Va boosters to get at farther, utilize more of your resources, and then sometimes you're kind of just up a creek without a paddle. Whereas if you are on much more like enclosed maps, D.Va, I mean, the first flashpoint that we saw when we were on Tread's POV and he killed 4, it was just like, booster, I'm good. I got more boosters. Just go and micro missile and it's totally fine. So I think that you're definitely onto something where if we go to any of these longer maps where it's a little bit, unless it's like something like Gibraltar where it's like you need verticality, which is very important. because I don't think Winston exists as a hero right now.
Unless you're cooking something special for Collegiate.
Yeah.
One map that we just saw D.Va really suck at was Havana. But I don't know if you want to go up against Noxus on a hit scan matchup, because Havana is just a hit scan matchup, and St. Clair looked very scary in that regard, along with Razor's Genji. That is an anti-sniper pick. So, but Bobcats have a lot of options, and they apparently have a lot of time to pick those options, as they are just going through their whole strat book.
Yeah, their life's on the line. You got, I mean, it's going to be even harder for them if they win this. Like, think about it going forward in the series. They have to
reverse
break
sweep
serve twice on map. They have to reverse sweep. Us casters, we love saying that it has to be perfect from here on out.
Reverse
sweep.
sweepable.
Like, this is like, we love that. We love that stuff. So, but I think that, like, this is really an advantage now for this St. Clair side, where it's like they have the benefit of just this next map. Even if they lose, they can just play their own map types. They can play away from anything that they want. If Brian Sharon pulls out any like crazy stuff that they might not be thinking about, they can just continuously play away with it with map pick.
And then, worst case, I think we just ended on a mirror, because, like, Tread, I mean, he was the one running most of the Zarya with the Razor Vendetta, while as Dion preferred more of the Ramatra Vendetta. I wouldn't mind just trying to match blow for blow, ban for ban, go for Zarya Vendetta each, and the hit scans will hit scan. As long as you hit a headshot, it's going to hurt whoever which hit scan you pick. And I just like that manually showing us looks of the potential of Emre. You just kind of needed a whole team to come together when it came to the Bobcats. And felt like Peace wasn't as loud as he usually was, right?
I also was one. I wonder, do we see a Lucio ban? Because we did see the Kiriko ban, and then we still had the Lucio. The Lucio was still really impactful with the sound barrier. And I think that, the biggest amount of struggles that we've seen from St. Clair is when they are up against this Brigitte Juno backline. If you take away the Lucio, you definitely are playing not Lucio Kiri, and you don't have the speed to work with, and it's a little bit more of a different pace, which is something that could potentially bring Bryant and Strand some momentum going forward to try and confront this reversal.
Yeah. Because also the boops from Lucio are really underrated to try and deal with the Vendetta, but the Vendetta also just does not care. She kind of goes across the map, flies like an eagle, and I don't even need to speed the Vendetta. It's like everyone else that needs the speed, so I don't know how much a Lucio band would definitely force a different look from everybody, but you could probably play the Vendetta without her. But it's cool that Bobcats were showing us just different backlines and how that was I thought was going to hinder them, considering when you don't have speed, you don't have the choice of when you want to take fights. It's the speed team that is going to choose when you want to fight. And I still think the Bobcats did fairly well to not get constantly run over.
Yeah, I mean, Overwatch is all about taking turns, and if you have the Lucio, it's very easy to kind of just say, like, hey, I'm shifting us in with sound. Let's go ahead and just, like, take over. And I think that when we look at, like, map type and when we look at, the ban phase and what we've seen so far, it does seem like you're right about, like, I think both these teams have, like, very similar styles and how they want to play. I like the little wrinkle of bringing in the Juno Brig, which is, like, a classic backline. I just would have liked it if there was a D.Va band attached to that, because that D.Va, oh my lord.
But then Tread would just run Ramatra, I think. It's like I think Tread has options. Band. Oh, there's your Lucio band. There's the Vendetta band. Okay, so never mind. Not ending it on a mirror. At least we could be maybe not ending it at all. Bobcats have to reverse sweep because St. Clair are running this series so far.
Yeah, and this is now one where I'm like, okay, D.Va's coming back for sure. It's Gibraltar, unless we're playing Winston or something, which, again, Winston, not in a great state, I would say, which is sad, because that was my first main when I played Overwatch. The Vendetta, I think, is a great ban as well, because the verticality, but this also opens up a Peace versus Razor Genji matchup, which I would be frothing at the mouth to see.
And really I'm looking at the hit scan matchup between the two of When you're at range, especially on point A Gibraltar, the defense has such a good positional advantage. Whether it's that initial platform that you're fighting on, to already conceding to your secondary positions on point A, that back bridge, it is so defensively favored at the beginning. And this map really demands dive a lot of the time, or else your pathing has to be up a bunch of stairs, and who knows if someone can boop you off, because yes, the Brigida can still try to displace you off the map, and you do not want to be split up when trying to take a high ground fight without a dive. So
yeah, no, you do not. And I think, you know, you're a big fan of Noxious. We're both big fans. This is very much Widowmakerable, I would say. And also, okay, are we gonna see Mizuki after I like completely flamed the? Okay, I was like,
you're not.
We're not. Going back to Jetpack Cat, I think this is a great map for Jetpack Cat because you're able to use a lot of that verticality and geometry. Noxious waiting patiently, looking for that headshot, doesn't find it, and actually
negative aura.
Yeah, so
negative aura, not getting that first shot, and now St. Clair is still going to be able to pressure the high ground using the Diva. And the Sojourn has a level of verticality as well, being able to jump up and really jump out if the dive gets in their way. So St. Clair can still kind of soft dive with the Diva compared to a Winston. You don't have as much staying power. You don't have a bubble to really sit in, and your Matrix can only, well, mitigate some types of damage, not all of them, and especially not a Domina. But St. Clair managed to get the card already halfway to the objective, and Bobcats have to choose their battles.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of the worry about using a tank that's like much like an anchor like this, where it's like you're going to give up a lot of card progression because on the other side you've got a very mobile tank that can continue to juggle around with Razor, who's going to be on that Tracer, so Peace is going to have to do a big job of contesting on that underground area.
And Razor did so much work back in the day to become more of a Tracer player. As a flex DPS, to have Tracer on top of that is so demanding. So St. Clair have a wealth of compositional options, and they have the high ground. And Bobcats are hiding in the server side, and it's not as well protected as it once was. St. Clair can also try to escort themselves around the map using that Jetpack Cat. So I'm liking the new looks coming out of St. Clair as they force the recall out of Peace, and that could have been a great first pick, as St. Clair still haven't gotten much progress beyond this point because of Bobcats contesting from the server side behind that Domina, and manually is gonna unleash. St. Clair are trying to matrix as much damage, and St. Clair are very split from each other. This should be a good fight for the Bobcats as long as they deny Tread from self-destruct. Now he's back into the mech, and now you got the Kitsune Rush. That's something Proto does not have yet, and the Pulse takes out the tank. So St. Clair will be heading towards the end of the point here very soon.
And I mean, that was just a tale of two different pulses right there. One was eaten. We're actually, okay, Proto I think is gonna switch because this is okay, they're actually committing. Wait, maybe there's a way back into this one for Brian and Strand with the supports? Hello?
Their spawns are very close. I guess they think it's possible. That's why it just becomes the raid boss herself. She's got pretty much as much health as a tank. And Tread doesn't have a mech, is being healed up as much as they can. And now St. Clair wants to re-engage, but they invested so much to try and cap. Now the Bobcats, they make a call, but they're paying the price. Noxus is on the Sojourn, and you better watch out. The overclock. It's time to clock out, Bobcats.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I really respect Brian and Sharon for trying to buy back into that one. If they were able to take out Tread before Tread was able to get back into his mech, I think that fight looks completely different. I think this is just a little bit of the desperation showing from this Brian and Stratton team, who are now looking against the barrel of a 3.5-minute time bank on their last leg here in this collegiate journey.
Took a lot of extra time out of St. Clair, but the momentum may not carry through. Tread got so aggressive, and I don't think everyone from St. Clair was on the same page. At least you trade that with a fantastic pick onto Nenwai. So Bobcats will be slowed down with missing half of their heals. St. Clair managed to isolate a few targets, but in this sort of 2v2 to 3v3 corner, Peace confirms a ton of kills, and Bobcats stay alive.
One of the nice things, though, for St. Clair is that they were able to get the cart pretty much halfway there just by stalling and pushing their pace a little bit more aggressively, as some nice shots coming in from Dion, but gonna have to respect the incoming damage. On the other side, Pulse Bomb available from Peace and Razor. We saw Razor get value, but Peace was eaten by Tread, and now getting focused down so aggressively, like a swarm of bees, they take out Peace.
St. Clair are up by 2, and Bobcats have to be careful. This is where St. Clair can up the ante and just slamming down the ult, pulling you out of safety. And then the firing squad, St. Clair, oh my god, they kidnapped one. They look to make victims out of more, and the cart is only 2 meters away. Bobcats have one last hurrah, and manually just gets zoned from the fight. Noxus is insane, and as soon as manually emerges, he's 6 feet under. St. Clair, wow, what a fight.
And I mean, this has been really an unfortunate map for Peace, who has just have every single pulse bomb eaten by Tread, who, again, I was like, maybe we start banning this diva from him. Looks like maybe they should be rethinking themselves as to what their ban phase looked like, because this diva, oh boy, is it working. The rest of the teams in the double elimination might need to look out.
Oh, you know what's working? A shot to the dome. Noxus does not miss those and focuses that 1v1 so much on manually. Razor and Peace are gonna take as well. Now Peace catches these hands too, and St. Clair know how to respect that space and that shield from the Domina, because that would be the saving grace, right, for Bobcats, is to be able to anchor this corner, but Noxus will not let them breathe at all. There is still a contest. The Bobcats managed to escape from the pulse bomb from Razor, but it's St. Clair that have so much momentum. Yeah, they take a bit of damage, but they're not dead.
They're staying alive and healthy. You also have Redix, who's going to have this Jetpack Cat ultimate, and you're in a great position where you can just throw someone off the side of the map, easy peasy.
Oh, what is Redix doing? Oh, he just grabbed one. It's just feeding the fodder, but wait, manually managed to escape, and St. Clair was so focused on that they lost one in the process, so I'm surprised that did not work out.
Yeah, that feels like they should have definitely gotten that pick, but it didn't end up working, so well played by Brian and Stratton, specifically manually, to get out of there, and they're farming up towards some nice ultimates. You've got Nenoi, who's got her rally ready and waiting to go, and they're just taking some time off the clock, and it's a nice pick.
Manually gets their revenge on Noxus, because to try and get sightlines around this corner can be so scary. The defense has that tall bridge to play off of too, so you would think manually would be more consistent at finding picks, but St. Clair, you gotta respect them. They're now trying to be in cover as much as possible. They could be wrapping around this backline of Bobcats, and they're trying to counter position away from this, so macro-wise, this is a doozy.
Yeah, we'll see what the Pulse Bomb is able to find here. There is no Tread, waiting patiently to eat this one, hopefully, if you're a fan of the Bobcats.
St. Clair, though, they've corralled the Bobcats into a corner. What a Suzu, and St. Clair trying to suffocate them, but it's manually that turns us all into a hunting season, killing 2 in the process, while Nenoi activates the rally just to become that pseudo-off tank, if you will. But despite Brian and Stratton getting absolutely suffocated in the first fight at Point C, they've managed to get back in control of the situation. They're still anchoring.
Yeah, we're looking at last fight territory here as the retreat has to come in from Brian and Stratton, but they have some nice ultimates to work with. Again, you've got the Kitsune Rush to match the one coming in from Alex. It's really going to be up to Razor to see if he can find anything with this Pulse Bomb.
The Kitsune Rush should be enough of support here as St. Clair just trying to overwhelm the Bobcats, and there's only 30 seconds left. It's the last chance, and Dion will succumb. The St. Clair Saints need to tread back into the mech. The supports are in a lot of trouble here for the attack, but they managed to get themselves back up because all eyes are on Razor, and the travesty that he's doing onto this backline of the Bobcats. Last few seconds though, respawn advantage for the defense, and man, they are just having a hard time confirming these kills. There's so many times that St. Clair are at 2 HP, and Bobcats can't confirm the kills, and Dion couldn't get to the cart in time, so St. Clair, halfway to Point C is where they will end.
St. Clair, that is a C9 of C9s. Ooh, that is not going to feel good for them. They had that fight very much won, but they were chasing kills significantly to the point where they just forgot about the cart completely. They were winning those team fights. I mean, full credit to Peace for being able to dip, duck, dodge, and I can't do that. Copy pasta. Well, it's not really copy pasta. Whatever the dodgeball quote is. Just the fact that they were able to get them away from the cart at all is pretty impressive from Peace's point of view. But if you're St. Clair, you're thinking to yourself, we easily could have had this out of 3 capped already.
Hey, I've seen so many teams get full held on this map and absolutely stuck on point B. So I think it's just an achievement for any team to get past point B. So St. Clair is still in a really strong win condition. But how did the Bobcats pull this off with a Domina who can't really dive the way that D.Va can? It's going to be more of a slow scaling affair, but St. Clair did take a lot of time to kind of confirm that point A, so there's definitely a chance for the Bobcats to have a stronger time bank going into point B if they have a good fight here.
I'm kind of sad we're not seeing a little bit more of the Noxious on some of those like traditional hit scans, like an Ashe or like a Widowmaker, because I mean, well, you know, the Sojourn's been working pretty good. I want to see him to his full potential. You know what I mean? I want to see those headshots. I want to see those clips.
Dion's just going to focus on kind of anchoring the cart, and you can kind of just rock this on the low ground through the car wash. It's not going to be fun with kind of you looking like William Dafoe at the defense looking down on you. So I don't know how long this is going to last. And as Peace tries to maybe find a flank, Razor marks him as usual. So St. Clair have the advantage. They're going to even have Razor drop down and contest the progress. So the Bobcats have to take a decisive fight.
Yeah, I think one of the things also that the D.Va brings to the table, as well as just being able to get onto the squishies, being able to check the Tracer, because Peace has had a really rough time on this map in particular, because Razor is a very good Tracer, but also it's not really a fair fight in the 1v1.
Brian and Stratton having a hard time, both of them. And maybe not Peace, though, because he chose violence against Razor. Noxus will trade, and that's pretty important, because I don't know how much the Brig can solo heal without Proto, but looks like the Bobcats still are finding progress. It's getting past this kind of T-zone of the map. That seems impossible. Dion is getting harassed by this wasp called Tread. Now Dion doesn't have a shield to stand behind, so here comes St. Clair kicking and swinging at the faces of the Bobcats.
Yeah, and I think now you're going to try and see if you can get any of these picks at the very end. Red X is going to take down Peace, and you talked about, what'd you say? You've seen a lot of teams full hold on maps like this. It's looking a bit that we're heading towards that direction. Don't want to speak too soon, though. Brian and Stratton, a lot of very key ultimates coming in for this next team fight for them, but I am always worried about Red X just yoinking and kidnapping someone and putting them into the rest of the team, or putting them off the side of the map.
Yeah, this is going to be the first wave of ultimates, I think, and Bobcats, this is going to be their best chance doing so. Keep in mind, when NY rallies too, they can stun. This could be what's dangerous for someone like Tread. So right now, the overclock pops through Noxus, and through the shield, manages to break open a window. The Suzu emerges, and Bobcats rely on manually to go automatic. St. Clair just can't seem to find any safety from this Sojourn, and Bobcats have broken through to Cap A.
I wonder if they're going to try and recontest here. I mean, they do have the self-destruct, they do have a Kitsune Rush, but actually I think this is really smart from them to just completely forego it, knowing that they do have a little bit of a chance with their advantage in terms of just the stalling, and now once they have everyone back, you can hold them at this door and really make it difficult. Milk out as much percentage or as much time as you can from out of here. And with Dion going down and with Proto going down, this is a great position to be in if you're St. Clair.
Absolutely, because you really need your momentum to carry through if the offense here, especially now that this door closes. St. Clair can just hold the high ground, and Brian and Stratton, they're not running dive, and it's almost kind of super necessary to run dive on this point, because your pathing has to be around the right side mega pack, and it's just extra long and painful.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is that it just takes so much time. Like they've already like taken 30 seconds just to try and get into here. Nenwai, she's getting harassed by the Tracer, and this is just going to be so difficult for them to deal with these flankers.
Oh, Peace versus Razor, though. I can watch that all day, but Peace got too many targets. Target-rich environment. Too many good stakes on the plate, I gotta say. Ooh, Cat would be a good stake. No, out. I'm gonna take back what I said, because that's weird. But Bobcats, you know what's weird? Being stuck at the start of point B. That really sucks.
Can't wait to eat some nice cat steak tonight. But a great Suzu. Peace has had such a rough Tracer game, unfortunately. It's so sad to see, but it's either a Suzu, it's a defense matrix, it's just everything. But kills are being traded back and forth. It's not over just yet for Brian and Stratton.
Yeah, it's not looking good anymore now that Noxus is on the prowl, so They're not going to overextend. I like that. And you got the jetpack cat that can kind of reestablish you. I like it. Maybe Bobcats could pull out a cat of their own. I mean, you're called Bobcats. Feels like you kind of need to run that.
That's true. That's true. Could you imagine? I mean, just already make a Bobcat skin for Jetpack Cat, and then we've done it.
Okay, someone's being forced to fight here, and Tread gonna use the self-destruct. Redux gonna make sure they get back into the mech, and the Bobcats just managed to escape a certain death from a giant nuclear bomb in front of us. Are they gonna look like coughing babies? No, you need to see manually put up a fight against Noxus, or Peace win against Razor, and that's already been an uphill battle. At least you have some solid tanking from the Bobcats to try and at least get some progress on this card. They're actually almost towards the end, and St. Clair gotta regain control.
Oh, and then what goes down though, and that's so big. Now you just have the Kiriko. You are gonna have the Kitsune Rush to mitigate some of that healing though.
Oh, so far, but this Dion shield's only gonna last for so long. And so is this Kitsune Rush, and Peace is trying to keep the backline in check. Both Sojourns are gonna find their picks. Not a lot of heals left for St. Clair with just a cat, a hope, and a dream. So the Bobcats will manage to cap here in a sec. No, wait a minute. Razor's taking over. Just hit a crazy shot. And Bobcats, that should have been a cap.
And it's one of the worst places they could have been stopped here, Jen, because now 45 seconds, it's last fight territory for them, especially with how long it's going to take them for Dion to move forward, get back to that cart. NY needs to find a way to get her rally online, but Razor's going to be looking for that Brigitte with this false bomb.
This is still an elimination match, so the Bobcats, they're staring down the barrel of defeat. If they don't come up with a plan in the next 22 seconds, and it's going to be off of a rally, and they could just rally around the power of friendship, but Peace has already been forced to recall, and St. Clair, with the jetpack cat, can try to pull someone into this fight. He's going to stun towards the back line, pull everybody in. The NY response is pretty huge, but you don't have manually, and that is an ace up Bobcat's sleeve, and they'll have to go into the Shadow Realm, but NY and Dion working their magic towards the front line, and Tread is just trying to anchor away. Bobcats want a C9, a cap in front of St. Clair, and by the skin of their teeth, the Bobcats will get another chance.
And I mean, I was talking about how Nenwai had to find a way to get her rally, and she clutches up absurdly. Kills Razor. Is able to get a ton of value. And this Brigitte saves Brian and Stratton's entire collegiate tournament hopes right now. And with a minute left, is there a way for them to be able to punish St. Clair for that huge C9 mistake they had earlier?
Just gonna come down to just the one fight, and Peace, better late than never, taking it down to support. Alex gonna respond though with the Kitsune Rush. St. Clair can still have a go at this, but they're in pretty dangerous low health territory. But just killing Dion might have been enough. But Bobcats, they have a lot of firepower still left, but they're trying to now escape from the overclock from Noxus, and just getting that shot into Peace is what he really wants, and he manages to escape. 30 seconds left.
Yeah, they're going to taxi Tread back so they can go back over to the Diva and get back in there. Proto getting close manually also with the overclock. They just need a few more ticks of that ultimate percentage. They can't lose anyone in the neutral here. That would be disastrous for Brian and Stratton.
Kitsune Rush for Proto could be what helps Bobcats force another map, but any slip up here would be costly. You have Nenwai dangerously low. Dion gets kind of ignored manually. What a turn and burn onto the cat, but Tread bulldozes down the competition, and no take, no problem. St. Clair have taken over and have kicked Brian and Stratton out of the Collegiate Open.
And they say no, it's C9, no problem for us. We're still going to make it entertaining, but it's not going to be enough. Actually, Katsuri's just coming back here. They're just baiting me right now. Proto goes down, just a lonely Doomfist, and that looks like it's going to be it. Brian and Stratton, fortunately, not enough stall potential. And St. Clair, crisp and clean 3-0 to take them to that top 8 double elimination bracket.
Wow, what a final map. That could have easily gone the Bobcats' way. They had Kitsune Rush advantage, but man, this man on your screen, Team Canada's only hope, it feels like. Noxus is an insane Sojourn, an absolute masterclass on this, and to make manually look the way that he did, only special players can do that, and Noxus an easy MVP for that map.
Yeah, Noxious really showed up. I think everyone was really good. If I had to get an MVP for probably the entirety of the series, it is going to be Tread. I mean, Tread made every single play on that last map in particular, but on this map, the way that the pulse bombs were being eaten, it felt like Peace found the one really good pulse bomb, but beyond that, everybody was checking Peace, making sure that they took Peace down, and it was just a win by committee, it feels like, for this St. Clair team. They're really a well-oiled machine, deserving of such a high seed that they have, and unfortunately, we have to say bye to Brian and Stratton, but they look like such a fun team, and I hope we get to see them again.
It's so sad that the Bobcats are no longer in this bracket, because this team is so stacked based on just their performances and results that they've had in the Faceit Expert League, like just the majority core of Dreamland with Manually, Dion, and Nenwai. They have really showed us their potential, but the veteranship of St. Clair and just how they've been really so meta-proof, like even showing us the potential of a jetpack cat and how to use it on Gibraltar, and just how much support can come out of Redux, and kind of how many fights they were able to force because the cat just forces you into one.
Yeah, I mean, it is what was one of the biggest problems, where it was like you could just, take a fight and just win it by fiat, it felt like, with the pull of the Jetpack Cat. And it's interesting to see if that continues, because they were kind of the first team that we really saw utilizing the Jetpack Cat a lot. So if that's again, it's been really interesting to see all these different teams that we've seen between the 6 of them today, how they kind of think about the game, how they think about the meta. It feels like the meta's pretty open, and that makes for a very entertaining, I think, bracket.
We're going to have a very entertaining interview coming up very soon, and a very entertaining match for St. Clair as they go up against Winthrop, the main squad of Winthrop. I made sure this time. Like, that is going to be an insane match, but we'll talk about that bracket later on. First, we got to focus on this interview, so don't go anywhere, folks.
Recognizer.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Overwatch Collegiate Open. I have none other than Sojourn superstar, Team Canada's only hope, Noxus on the screen. Hey bud, congratulations on the win today. It was a sweep. It was hard fought. How did you feel about that series? You kind of put on a montage there at the end.
Thank you. I felt really good about the way I played on an individual level. I've been working really hard, like behind the scenes, and making a lot of changes. Especially with our current roster, we have really strong players, and like people, like everyone had to step up, everyone had to work together. So I think we did that today, and that's why we won.
Yeah, because I think we've seen a lot of the DPS kind of today. We've seen a lot of variety from the DPS, especially in the hit scan role. You know, we're seeing Sojourn, we're seeing some Emre, we're seeing quite a bit, some Cassidy, I think, as well. What I'm seeing, though, is that I'm seeing a lot of Emre versus Sojourn, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on that matchup, because to me, it feels like Sojourn offers that one-shot burst potential, where Emre is a little bit more of that consistent damage. But as a hit scan extraordinary yourself, I want to know where you think of that matchup comes down to.
I'm personally a Sojourn believer. Listen, I think that those two characters are essentially, I mean, I think Emery is very map dependent. There's maps where Emery just feels easier to play, and that's just kind of how it is, just because map geometry and whatnot. But I've always really understood more like Sojourn play. So for me, I think it is kind of a preference thing for hitscan players. Like, okay, do you want to try this? Do you want to try that? And their players like, I want to say like higher level, like even like Tree has been playing a lot of Emery, and he's gotten really good at it. And like when you see like an Emery actually popping off, you're like, okay, maybe this character is broken. But I genuinely think it's a,
Okay.
I genuinely think it's a preference thing. Like I genuinely believe that.
Okay.
I like when a game has like so many options like that, and I know there's a lot of good options when it comes to Team Canada. I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm so hyped for Overwatch World Cup this year. Noxus, St. Clair is partnering with Team Canada. What can you tell us? How are the tryouts? What's going on? Are we seeing you there or what?
Well, you're definitely gonna see me there. The tryouts haven't started yet, so I think it's scheduled to start next week or the week afterwards. So it's a little late compared to other teams, but we, myself, Alex, Razor, and Sheldon, we're all Redex, we're literally all trying to improve at our best and like really show up in those tryouts and get those spots. For me, it'd be like a two-timer, and it would mean a lot to me to get in this position. It depends how trials go. It depends. You never know what can happen in those. Like, it's very volatile. There's different players that, come in that maybe you've never seen before and they impress. You don't know. So it's all about, being prepared, showing up, and just giving your all. And I think myself and the rest of the players in St. Clair have been doing nothing but that for the past few months. So I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of good spots, is Jetpack Cat like real? Like, you guys are like the only ones who are actively like running it. And from what we saw today, is that character actually, is that hero actually like a real thing, or is this just Red X? Like, is this Red X Central? Like, what are we? Give me the insight. Give me the inside scoop.
Mm-hmm.
Sheldon is a ADHD bomb. All right, that man will play anything, and he wanted to play Cat, and I was like, bro, just play Cat, stay chill, stay collected, it's fine. He went Cat, and he did his thing, and it worked. And you know what? I can't say anything because it actually worked. But I am on my team, on my other team from Basic Masters as well. Graveyard's a big Cat believer as well, so it's not new to me that people like this character. But the reason why he picked it is just because ADHD bomb. Like, this guy just wants to play Cat. It's whatever. It's cool. Play Cat.
It worked.
I mean, have fun.
It worked.
It did work.
If it works, it works.
It did work. So I mean, hey, what can I say? Like, what can I do about that? So,
it's always important to be meta-proof or to just throw things out and see what sticks. So I like what you guys brought to the table. It resulted in a sweep, so can't hate it, right? But you go up against Winthrop here in the upper quarterfinals. What are your thoughts on how you're going to match up against them?
Well, obviously they're really good players, but I really truly believe that we are either going to give them the biggest run for their money out of any team, like even Northwood. Like, we've been putting so much work. And I'm sorry, if you guys hear this right now, Winthrop, I'm telling you, fucking strap in, buddy. All right, I'm telling you, we are literally all playing at our best right now, and I want us to win that I want us to win that game so bad. And I want us to win this entire semester. It's personally my last year here at St. Clair. It's my last semester. Same with, Jack, Razor and Sheldon, Red X. So we're all, we want to really win this season. We want to show up. And there's no more ISU, man. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. We can, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I, even though those players are good, I think we're also really good players and we deserve it just as much. So.
Okay, we gotta get that game on broadcast. We gotta get that game on broadcast.
That's
Hey, you guys wanted content, you got content. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, we got the content creator here. Okay, well, we're looking forward to that match. We're looking forward to seeing how deep your team can go, and that throat is open. That I think you guys got some serious potential to take it. So thank you so much, merci beaucoup, for the interview, Noxus, and we'll see you against Winthrop.
Merci à toi.
Au revoir.
Merci, Noxus.
So yeah, we should just have that interview in French.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we'll redo it again. We'll do it if they beat Winthrop. We'll do the entire interview in French.
Give me your real thoughts on Winthrop only in French. Can't get in trouble.
I don't know. Or the higher ups might not be happy with that one, but I'm super happy with how
this bracket
he's
went,
right.
yeah.
ISU's not there. It's wide open for the taking right now, and with the way that I think even before we got on air, Noxus said that they're playing as well as they've been playing so far. It's a winnable tournament for them. They can beat Winthrop, but it still has to happen, and I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yeah.
We got the top 8. Oh my!
I know, and for Overwatch World Cup, I'm still coping that Team Canada, we can be so back. If St. Clair, the players that could be on that team are playing like this, watch out, rest of the world. But first, we got to watch out for the rest of this tournament, because tomorrow we're gonna get into the meat and the potatoes of the bracket, y'all. All best of 5s. We've got 4 matches to get through on broadcast, and we're starting bright and early at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. Well, that's bright and early for me, okay? So you guys will want to tune in a bit earlier than usual, okay? But you're at the right channel, the right place, twitch.tv/OW_esports, or wherever you're watching your content from. I'm Lemon Kiwi, this was Kenobi, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.